Here's Olivia.
Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Here's a fastball. It's ripped down the line. It is gone. A fifth consecutive World Series game with a Freddie Freeman home run.
1440. And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line. And the ball's caught. It's a miracle. It's celebrating. Oh my goodness. This town is going crazy. It's a miracle house and Landon.
Tuesday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta at PlayAlberta.ca. And it is Tuesday, and you know what that means. Lotto Max. Tonight, $32 million. The Matthew Garon of Lotto Max. Get yours at PlayAlberta.ca. Lovely Tuesday to you. I know Oiler fans are a little concerned. Everybody's waiting patiently. What is going to happen with Connor McDavid? Well, you know what? He's getting looked at and getting reassessed. We'll likely have an answer tomorrow. Late last night, the initial reaction from one of my sources was that it didn't look long-term or overly serious, but also said quickly, you know what, that can change in the next assessment, and, you know, things change overnight, swells up, or who knows what happens. So we'll see how it goes today. We do know 100% he will not play against the Nashville Predators. I would expect Noah Philp to be recalled from Bakersfield, get a chance to make his NHL debut in Smashville on Thursday when the Oilers take on the Predators. And hey, nothing's really changed. Yeah, McDavid's not in the lineup, and that's a big blow, no question. But he's amongst forwards. Was he on the ice? 21, 22 minutes? It's 38 minutes. Other guys got to do more. He was one who needed to do more. Their whole team needs to do more. The Oilers today have the fewest goals in the NHL amongst forwards. 15. It's brutal. Did you know they were fourth last year, and 2 years ago they had the most goals by forwards in the league? So they got to get going. And I know some people, you know what? It's just bad luck. The minute you try to make an excuse for lack of scoring is bad. So is it just bad luck when your goalie doesn't make a save? Is it just bad luck? Doesn't seem to work that way, does it? It's bad luck if you don't score, but goalie's terrible if he doesn't make a save. Seems somewhat two-faced and hypocritical to me. There's a skill to scoring like there's a skill to stopping pucks. Is there a little bit of luck involved on both sides? 100%. But don't for a second just say, wow, it's all bad luck. You're in the NHL, you got good goaltenders. If you continually shoot at their chest, guess what? They're going to stop the puck. So the Oilers, I'd love if there was a stat on hitting goalies right in the chest, because, God, they got to have the most shots there. Yeah, they get a lot of high danger scoring chances, but if you put it right in the guy's chest, it's not that high danger of a chance. It instantly becomes a meh chance. It's like a low chance of scoring. And we've seen too much of that. And also, you know, people, they're getting a lot of shots. Eventually they'll score more. Just for fun, do any of you know, without looking it up, where the Oilers were in shooting percentage last year? Where did they rank amongst the 32 teams? Were they first? Were they third? Were they 28th? 30th, 16th. What were they? Let me know. 833-401-1440 in our EUL inbox. 833-401-1440. I know there's a lot of focus on the Oilers shooting percentage, and right now it's the worst in the NHL. In every situation, 4.90. Not good. Not good at all. But where was it last year? And what's a realistic number do you think it would get to this year? They've already played 12% of the season, which might not seem like a lot, but it's definitely more than a little. So the Oilers have a day off today. They'll regroup. They'll be on the ice tomorrow. And who knows? Maybe the McDavid injury, it's a prideful group. And you look and say, hey, we got a lot of guys got to step up now. It can't just be one. Right? Like Leon Draisaitl already has 6 goals, 6 goals this season. He's on pace for 49 goals. It's a pretty good year. The rest of the forwards who will be in the lineup tomorrow night have combined 6 goals. Jeff Skinner has 2. Henrique, Perry, Nugent Hopkins, Connor Brown 1. That's it. So you got a lot of guys who need to produce more. Connor McDavid was 1, but he's out now. And hopefully it's short term. We'll get a better sense tomorrow. We know for sure it's 1 game. Might be 2 or 3. They play Sunday, Monday as well. And then a week, Wednesday. So if he's out a week, he could miss 3 games. Obviously after that, then it just starts to add up a little bit. And we'll see where it goes. But I look at the Oilers and their record without McDavid, they haven't played a lot of games without him. Right? Outside of his rookie season. And in his rookie season, funny enough, they had a better points percentage without him than they did with him. I don't think anybody thought it made them a better team. But in the last 8 and 10 games of NHL hockey, 8 seasons and 10 games, he has missed a total of 19 games. 2 of them, he was a healthy scratch in the final game of the regular season. If you look at the most consecutive games he's ever missed here in the last, since his second season in the league, was 6 games. They went 3-2-1 in those games. Draisaitl had 12 points in 6 games. That's when him, Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins, that was the year he won the Hart. He's had a great year. So Leon Draisaitl, here's his opportunity to step up even more than he is now, but he's going to need some help. It's hard to get assists if no one else can put the puck in the net. You can't just set him up for wide open nets every time. So he'll need some help. I'll be curious on what they do for center. Do they have Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins as your 1-2, keep Henrique, or do they move Henrique to the number 2 slot and put Noah Philp as your 3rd line center? They might. And then you keep, your top 4 wingers, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Skinner, Arvidsson, if you want, in your top 6, right? Because you can keep Skinner with Henrique, if you like. Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, and Draisaitl. Arvidsson, Henrique, and Skinner. Then you would have Philp with Janmark and Brown, Perry, Ryan, and Podkolzin. You could do that. That might make the most sense for me. You're calling him Noah Philp. I'm playing him at center. No question. And I don't really have a problem slot him into the number 3 slot. Decent on draws. Right? You're on the road. Now, if you play him with Brown and Janmark, that's 2 pretty responsible wingers. I don't know if he gets overwhelmed. There might be the odd shift where, he gets out there against O'Reilly's line. So, that's just the NHL, man. You can't hide everybody. In the NHL, you got to go. Got to play well. So, we'll see your thoughts on that. As the Oilers last night, they, obviously from the first shift, it wasn't a great omen when McDavid gets hurt. And I understand why people say that should be a tripping call. I get it. But if it's a trip, okay, they're on the power play, but it doesn't change anything else. It wasn't a malicious play by any stretch of the imagination. And we'll see how they react. McDavid goes off. And then Arvidsson takes a penalty. They score in the power play. Skinner had no chance on that one, but Skinner's got to make this. The second goal, to me, has to be stopped. There's no reason for him to come off his post like that and leave that short side open. Got to make that save. The third goal, shot from the point. It's clearly a knuckler. Just see it like that was a significant knuckler. Like dropped a foot and a half from the slot down. So those are tough at times. If he makes a save, it's a great save. If he doesn't make it, I don't think it's a bad goal. Later on, he had no chance in the final 2 goals of the game. It's the second goal that I look and say, that's a save you got to make as a goalie. No question. But the Oilers offense, I looked up the numbers. Last season, there's 1,312 hockey games. And that means there's 1,312 winners. Teams winning games when they only score 0, 1, or 2 goals, because there's the one game that was 0-0 to a shootout. So I have to include that one. 117 times when you score 0, 1, or 2 goals and you win in regulation before a shootout. Because there's some games that were 2-2, you win in a shootout. You don't get credit for the third goal. It gets, it goes on the final score is 3, but it's 2-2. You just lost in a shootout. There is 117 times where you won a game in regulation or overtime, 2-1, 2-0, 1-0. That's it. 8.9% of the time. The Oilers are averaging 2 goals a game. Anybody out there who doesn't think offense right now is their biggest issue, I'm not sure what you're paying attention to. Right now, today, if you think, hey, I'm concerned that Skinner can have a rough game every few games, that's a totally valid concern. But in between his 2 tough starts, he played quite well for 5 games. Have the Oilers had 5 solid games of offense? No, they have not. Not at all. You needed Picker to stand on his head for them to get a 3rd goal in overtime. They're struggling to score. And until that changes, it's going to be hard. So you hope that one of those 8.9% games, that's like 117 in the whole season amongst all 32 teams. So you do the math, that's just under 4 per season per team. If we're going on averages. It's not a lot. So you hope one of those games comes here soon for the Oilers. They'll happen every now and then. But if the Oilers keep averaging 2 goals a game and you're more concerned about the goaltending, I just don't think you're paying attention to how you win in the NHL. You can't win consistently scoring 2 goals. You just can't. No one does. No one. Not even the best defensive teams in the league do. You just can't do it. So I look at the Oilers and they got to get going offensively. And I'm sorry, your job as an offensive forward is to score and bear down. That's your job. Defense, their job, when they don't do their job, they get ripped on. Oh, they missed coverage. They missed their guy. Forwards, do your job. Score. Stop hitting the goalie in the chest. We've all realized lots of NHL goalies have really quick chests. I think that's abundantly clear through the first 10 games for the Oilers. But because there's some chances, and then I look at the end result, and I'm like, that wasn't even a hard save. It was a good opportunity that resulted in a low percentage chance to score. So that's where I'm at on the order. Some other news today for the show. Got a loaded show for you today. Looking forward to it. We will have Landon Ferraro will break down that game and just kind of the mental state of a team when your best player goes down. Andi Petrillo talking football and soccer. We got McCarthy. Struddy will be by. DVD. Also, Dave Naylor will talk some football as the next 2 weeks because Rick Lawler said he wants to have the president CEO done before Grey Cup. Well, usually the CFL likes to have that embargo where there's no other big news around the CFL. That doesn't mean it always happens, but they really encourage it not to. So if that's the case, you'll have that announced before the Grey Cup. So we're leading up to the West and East semifinal this week. That's 1 week. Then you got the West final. That's 2 weeks. So actually from today, it's less than 2 weeks. So rock and roll. That'll be a huge decision. So we'll talk to Naylor about that. As always, we'll get your text 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Every now and then you hear a quote and you say, you know what? No one talks about it, but I don't mind it. So it's outside the box. This is from the head coach of the defending, reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics. Quote, the biggest thing that we rob people of from an entertainment standpoint is you can't fight anymore. I wish you could bring back fighting. I just don't get why some sports are allowed to clear the benches. We just have a ball. The other sport has one of the hardest surfaces and a playing instrument and pucks and sticks, and we're not allowed to throw them down a little bit? From Joe Mazzulla. God, I love that quote. I love it. It's not like fighting was all the time. But hey, anybody go back, you watch the 80s, it was a different time. It was a physical, rough game at times. And, man, I just love it. It's so outside the box. I don't think it's going to happen. But, Conzo, what did you make of Joe Mazzulla? Joe Mazzulla, like, they might have got to hire him for an NHL team right now.
Yeah, kind of kicking it back old school where you saw a little bit more. I mean, hey, even when you see the air quote fights in the NBA, same with Major League Baseball for the most part, there's no fisticuffs. It's getting in there. It's talking tough. You don't see them quite swinging as much as maybe back in the day with those kind of some of those dirtier players. It was Lambier, known as being pretty dirty, and some guys like that. I like to hear it from old coach there.
Yeah, it's a great quote that kind of caught me off guard. You don't hear it that much anymore. So it was just one of those where I'm like, do I think it's going to happen? No, but I kind of like it. So we'll see. Let's get to lots of text, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, the Oilers don't get time and space to score goals in front of the other team's net either because they aren't going there. Or they aren't getting any freebie chances from the rig. Well, I don't know, man. I think they've had some pretty good chances right in the doorstep, and they bury it right into the chest. I don't believe that their shot placement has been nearly good enough for an NHL standard. I'm sorry. I'm not giving a free pass on this whole, well, it's just bad luck. Give me a break. If you think it's only luck to score, then why aren't more people? Well, just get lucky, man. Hey, get me in there. I got some luck. You need a lot of skill. You got to get to the position. Then you got to have an accurate shot. Some shots, yes, you just bury your head. Guys put their head down. They're looking to put it in a place. And sometimes you might miss your shot by an inch or two and it still goes in. Awesome. Just like a goalie sometimes, you know what? He doesn't see where the puck's coming. He kind of guesses on where he thinks it's going to go and it hits him. A little bit of a skill maybe. Good to be lucky, lucky be good. But I'm sorry. Scoring is not just about luck. And I think it's really downplaying just how much skill is necessary to be a good goal scorer and even just a consistent scoring team. And right now, Columbus, look at that team. How about this? Columbus in their 4 wins have more goals than the Oilers have all year. Columbus has won 4 games. Each game they win, they score 6 goals. There's 24 goals in their 4 victories. Now they're 4-3-1. In their other 4 games, guess what? They got 9 goals. Still, 31 in the season. They got the 4th most goals in the NHL. Olivier, their tough guy, has 4 goals in the last 5 games. So, yeah, they're getting some unexpected contributions offensively. You got to get that. You got to find more guys to score. So the Oilers, you know what? There's no waiting on 97 to get going. Not saying that they were. But now they definitely can't. Think about that. So it would be nice if they also scored first. But when you're never scoring, like the Oilers have 3 goals in the first period. They were a lot better last year. They were the highest scoring team in the NHL in the first period last year. And now they got 3 in 10 games. So I said it after, I wrote about it after game 3. If you look at teams who are Stanley Cup losers, very few of them come out of the gate hot the next year. They average 5-4-1. The Oilers are 4-5-1. Still below average. Not grossly off, but below average. And now, I think you got to turn the page. You throw in the injury to McDavid, and time for excuses are done. Done. So we'll come back. Landon Ferraro will join us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You got it. Go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Need a truck? Want a great deal on a truck? Get into Wolf GMC Buick. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Take advantage of 0% financing on Sierra half-tons. Oh, and guess what? GMC employee pricing is back on all in-stock 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons. That means thousands of dollars in savings on GMC Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. Also thousands off the industry-leading SUV, the GMC Yukon. Get to Wolf GMC Buick now and drive away with money off and a smile on. Just off the Anthony Henday.
Mr. Rooter meets a ghost.
1 plunge, 2, and 3. A toilet clogged with a ghost? Man, I love plumbing. You're free now.
I will never find peace. The clog is fixed, yes, but I have never trusted the sump pump.
No problemo. I can fix that. Now go to the light, you little scamp.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
To resolve your unfinished plumbing business, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League would like to congratulate its athletes for competing in the BCHL Showcase in Chilliwack.
Only a few left, circle, hold, shoot, scores!
The 18U division put on a show in front of BCHL, NCAA, and NHL scouts, and proudly represented the league as they continue to develop as players and people. Thanks to the groundbreaking Universal Affiliation Agreement, unsigned JPHL players can suit up for multiple BCHL teams in the same season. Next up is the JPHL's Winter Championships in December.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
In a world where every day is a battle against time, elements, and gravity, one ally has stood strong for over 50 years, Titan Supply. In the harshest conditions, against relentless deadlines and overwhelming tasks, they equip you and help keep you working safely. Lifting, digging, or hauling, gear up for the everyday battle with Titan Supply. Still standing strong in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Or online at titansupply.ca.
Lift, dig, haul.
Monday warrior, mean strike. Today Storm Sawyer, mean pride.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, no worries. I'm just going to try and Gregor will get you right away. Thanks a lot.
224. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 play. MLB, can the Yankees avoid the sweep? And did you know the last 5 teams who trailed 3-0 in the World Series all lost in 4? So maybe you like the Dodgers. And what about Freddie Freeman? Can he set an MLB record? He's tied with George Springer for most consecutive World Series games with a home run. He's had a home run in every game in this series. He had home runs in his last 2 World Series games in 2021. That's 5 straight. Can he go for 6? That guy, that ball's looking like a beach ball for him right now. It's fun to watch. I still can't believe they walked Ohtani on the first. On 4 pitches, he didn't have to swing. The guy's holding. Now, either he's the greatest actor or he's clearly got some shoulder issues. He's walking in a sling to the game. He stands on first base after the walk-on. He's got his hand up and holding up his shoulder. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Just pitch one. What are you worried about? Unless that was just a mind, you know what? Be like, oh, God, I can barely swing. Shoulder in a sling. Just put one down the pipe. Don't worry, I can't. Because it worked. Because they were scared of him. Walked him on 4 pitches, and 2 batters later, it's 2-0. Yikes! Let's get to our oil report, brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Or stop in right now. The 2025 XC90s and the XC90 plug-in hybrids are in. I mean, I had a plug-in hybrid. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. Plug that bad boy in at night, get up in the morning. Like, I go on a tank of gas for like 3 weeks. It was nuts. Now, if you're going on long trips, obviously it's different. But if you're just going, to home and work, I could go from home to work, from home 2 days in a row. Just on a charge. It's unreal. So I liked it. Try it out at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Former NHLer, pre- and post-game analyst here on Sports 1440, Landon Ferraro, joins us. And Landon, you're in a locker room, and your captain and best player goes down with an injury. The Oilers, I thought in the second period it was kind of like maybe a reality hit a little bit, and there's like an emotional letdown. How do you think it's going to be Thursday? Is this one where, guys can use it as a real rallying cry, like there's some pride in the room, or is there fear? Where do you think it is?
The rallying side. I mean, there's enough players on the Oiler team that are easily good enough to fill the void for a little bit here. Obviously, you're not replacing McDavid, but at the same time, dumb as it kind of sounds, like if Hyman could start putting the puck in on his, 5 chances a game, like it's going to start going for him. Like that'll help. Nugent Hopkins is going to have to take on a bigger role and play a bit more and pick his game up a bit. But, I imagine you're sitting there and you're like, guys, like how many times has McDavid bailed us out? Like it's kind of our turn to kind of figure this out and get rolling ourselves here.
Oh, 100%. Like their forwards, they got the fewest goals in the NHL. This after being the highest scoring forward group in 23 and the 4th highest scoring group in 24. And I know a lot of people, and like Brian McLeod and Dylan Holloway were not big scorers amongst their group last season. I actually, to me, speed, everybody says they're slower, and it's probably valid, they're slower, but it hasn't hurt them, Landon. And you're a forward, and you're a scorer. To me, the Oilers' shot placement, I find, has been awful on a lot of their best chances. Like scoring's a skill. And right now, a lot of guys aren't giving themselves the best chance to score on some of their high danger chances. Like, even last night against Merzlikins, we saw it with Freddie Anderson. When a goalie has a really quick chest, try to avoid it.
Yeah, the chest is a pretty good blocker, right? Like if you're putting it square into the middle of the pad or the chest protector, that's generally not where that guy's probably aiming, right? Like, there's, just like you just said, like the lowest scoring in the league right now, like that is just crazy to see. Like I can understand, they've had some issues, but they have so much offensive power that even when it's not going well, it should be middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything has been so tough to get in there. But, it's as everything kind of moves along, the longer you go, you're gripping your stick more. And every time, for me, I loved, going down the right wing, especially if it was an odd man rush and trying to pick that high glove, short side. And when I was on it and I'm scoring, I'm not even really looking at the net anymore. It's just muscle memory goes. But when it's not working for you, now you're staring at your spot, you're gripping it tight. You're like, I got to shoot it as hard as I can. And that's when you either blow it over the net or put it right into them, because there's no finesse to it anymore.
Yeah.
You have to have your abilities just take over for you. That's, it's whatever, we've talked about it before, everyone has of, practice is where you build your habits and you do all that stuff. And game time is where your instincts take over, right? That's the only way you can play free, fast. And yeah, the Oilers might not be as fast as their team last year, but when they have played connected and support underneath, they play fast as a team.
Yeah.
And that's all that really matters.
Yeah, and it's very well said, right? The puck is faster than any player out there. It's even faster than McDavid. And when you move the puck quickly, then you naturally play faster. And Edmonton's consistently out shooting the opposition. I don't find that, they're losing all these puck races and that's leading them to extended zone time. It's not happening. So that's why I'm not really one who thinks speed has really been that much of an issue so far, or lack thereof.
No. Yeah, I would say it's more of an issue of some guys on it, meaning, they're dialed in, their passes are sharp, they're crisp, and some other guys a little bit off. Each night there seems to be a different kind of group in each section. And until you start mirroring those together, working as a full, 20-man roster, it's too hard. And if your power play is not going to be, the cure-all like it was last year right now, well, then you have to figure it out 5-on-5.
Well, and you got to figure it out on the power play. Landon Ferraro joins us. And so McDavid comes off the power play. He's a pretty main focal point. He's obviously the guy who carries the puck up. Now it's going to be Nugent Hopkins, so they'll probably come in different ways. When you look at the alignment, so they added Arvidsson. Now he's a right shot. And so that does open up potentially for a right shot one-timer there, right? Because Nugent Hopkins can kind of maybe take more of McDavid's spot, and Arvidsson takes Nugent Hopkins' spot. How do you see them working in Arvidsson and how potentially that could improve and help their power play?
Well, what I like with Arvidsson is his feet are always moving. He's a puck hound. That's what you need for your guy in the middle. Anytime there's a bobbled puck, no matter where it is on the ice, in the offensive zone, you have to be the next person there for support or first on it, right? So I think that alone will be good, but I think it's more to the fact of we were just talking about again, the puck moves faster, and right now the puck gets over to Draisaitl's side, and there's no reason that you and me can read where the next pass is going. We could never do that last year. The amount of times where I'd be watching the Oilers power play and I'm like, okay, it's going to go down to the goal line. And one of them would throw a no-looker through the seam the other way. This year, it just seems so telegraphed that, how many times have we seen, the puck from the half wall on Draisaitl's side trying to get it down to Hopkins and it's just getting poked to the corner. Everything's moving so slow that you need to get that movement back, where it's more about the players not being in their standard position, but where they need to be at that moment. You have to be able to ad-lib and make plays out of that. And the Oilers have more than enough skill to make that happen. They did it all last year.
You look at Edmonton, and while they're out shooting teams, I look at the goals last night. The first power play goal, Nurse steps up to the guy, but doesn't take the guy in this, he just puts himself in no man's land, right? And that high deflection, there's virtually no chance for your goalie to make a save there. The second goal, that's a save Skinner's got to make all day long. There's no reason for him to push off. The third goal is a point shot that drops down 2 feet, maybe even closer to 3 feet in a short period of time. Woodley told me, goes, you know what? If a goalie makes a save there, great save. If not, you don't really blame him on it. I look at the fourth goal, fifth goal, sixth goal. None of them were like egregious. The second goal was the terrible goal by Skinner. But, like you look at the orders, and I guess when it's 4-0 Landon, maybe it's hard to critique it, but guys are wide open on the back door. No one takes them on the one goal. And then they get beat off of the end board rebound for the final goal. What do you make of the Oilers' D zone coverage last night on some of those goals?
Well, there's just so many people getting behind them. Like that one where it's the goal, drive down the left side, gets all the way to the goal line. Like there's only two things that guy is going to do at that point. He's either going to go behind the net or just force a pass across. And yet it gets through the first D, it gets through Ekholm, who didn't shoulder check behind him, and put goals in, stop skating on the back check. Like that's just such an easily avoidable, not even goal, but an easily avoidable chance. Like that should, when they're on, and Ekholm is, he's such a good player. Like that's a nothing play for him when he's, on and not, mind wandering a bit to where he just pokes it away or he just grabs it and now they're in transition out of it. And that's just what I felt last night. Like there's too many times where you kind of start watching the play as it's moving higher in the defensive zone. And then all of a sudden you look back to the net and there's just someone kind of standing there by himself. Or, the one goes in and there's 3 Columbus players on the inside of 4 Edmonton players.
Yeah.
Like that stuff just doesn't happen when that team is on and focused and feeling good about themselves.
You look at the McDavid play, and probably could have been a trip, but that's irrelevant to the injury, because if it's a trip, he's still hurt. It doesn't change the outcome of the injury. It goes in hard. Everybody saw his left ankle, hits the board, slides up. When he gets up, takes a few strides, and boom, he's up. The initial thought was that they don't think it will be that serious, but that's pretty vague. Like that might be 2 weeks. It might be a week. It might be a month. Who knows? But when you look at the loss of McDavid, and like the most he's ever been out is 6 consecutive games back in 1920 when Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, and Yamamoto were absolutely killing it as a line. That was the year Draisaitl won the Hart Trophy. He does have 6 goals in 10 games. He's on pace for 49 again. If you were looking at line combinations, would you leave Nugent-Hopkins as the winger with Draisaitl and Hyman, and then just move up Skinner with Arvidsson and Henrique with Arvidsson and Skinner, and then put Noah Philp with Brown and Janmark? Or do you put Nugent-Hopkins as a center and move Henrique to the wing?
To start, I would put Hopkins at center. I just like when Nugent-Hopkins is on and his game is solid, he's just that guy in the lineup that you almost forget about until he makes a couple assists or he gets his goal himself. Like he's so steady, he skates well. I would like to try and get him the puck in his hands a little more, and that's going to happen with him at center, just to almost try and get him moving a little bit more. I think Henry can move to the wing and still provide enough from that position that you'll be getting, hopefully both of the best out of both of them. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the Oilers, Noah Philp's going to come up. I think they're also going to call up Drake Caggiula, to be honest. He's probably being their most consistent forward down there, brings a little bit of energy. And so I could see both those guys coming up. And if they're going to bring them both up, then they're probably going to play both of them in the lineup on Thursday just to get a little bit of jump. And, you've got some guys maybe in that bottom line. Derek Ryan took a 4-minute minor. Then he had 2 chances cleared out on the ensuing after the penalty and couldn't get it out. And, he doesn't have a goal through 10 games. And, he's an older player. So, I could see them maybe injecting some life from both of those guys in. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But it sounds like both of them are coming up.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind, if they have both of them coming up, getting both of them in. I think it's good, especially at, the NHL level where, you have your contracts and your rosters. And yes, there's movement, but at the same time, after a bit, you can feel comfortable where you are. And, a little reminder of, just because you're here right now doesn't mean you're going to be in the lineup every night. Like you got to earn it every single shift. And just having that having that thought being put back in and seeing it, I think could be good for some of the guys.
Landon Ferraro joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. One last one for you, Landon. You look at that Columbus team. In their 4 wins, they've scored more goals than the Oilers have all season. They've got 6 goals in every one of their victories. They have the highest shooting percentage right now. They just seem to be a team that, they work hard. You got Olivier, their tough guy, with 4 goals in 5 games. Like, they just got a lot of things going right. You talk about how the Oilers, all of a sudden, you don't score and then you're gripping the stick too tight. Columbus seems to be on the opposite end of the spectrum right now, where you got a lot of guys that are like, hey, I can be a 20-goal scorer in this league.
Has to go to Dean Evison as the new coach coming in there. I played against his teams in Milwaukee for a lot of years when I was in Grand Rapids in Iowa. And then you watch his teams play in the NHL. It's the exact same thing. Working hard and competing on every puck. Those are non-negotiables for him. And it's one of those things where, in 2 different parts. The first one, when you're not expected to be winning games, especially against the better teams, you play carefree hockey. You feel good. If you end up getting scored on or you end up losing a game, it was supposed to happen that way anyway. So you just play free, and that's where you can start making some plays that you don't normally make, and things start going in for you, like Olivier. He's just working hard. He's getting to the net, and, there's success there. And then on the other side of it, you have, when you're on a team that's not supposed to be good, yes, you're playing as a group and you're trying to get the team as good as you possibly can and have a very positive year. But there also is more individualism within it.
Okay.
Because you're all trying, you're not going to be on a playoff team. Well, if I'm not going to get signed back here, I need to make sure that I put a good year together, that I can find another job, right? There's all those things that start coming into it. And, it makes sometimes it makes for a pretty good recipe of a team that just doesn't quit.
Yeah. Wow. The Oilers, we'll see. Maybe the McDavid absence might spark them. We'll find out. The good news is they're playing a team that they should feel confident again, because they're 12-1-2 in their last 15 against the Predators. So maybe that's the perfect team to play your first game without McDavid this season. So we shall see.
I mean, if you're going to have to do it, you're going to have to do it somewhere. So you might as well head into Music City and see how that goes.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, Landon. Appreciate your time, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
There you go. That's Landon Ferraro, pre- and post-game analyst here on Sports 1440. You can catch him on every pregame show with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. 2:43. We got a lot of texts to get to. 833-401-1440. We'll tell you about some lineup changes that are coming for the Edmonton Oilers. Also, we'll hear from Andi Petrillo and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. Saving you more at The Brick. Save up to 20% off furniture, including sofas, sectionals, dining, and bedroom furniture. Save up to $500 off big screen TVs and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, when you buy more, you save more with deals on Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire appliances. And if you find a lower price before the end of the year, they'll refund the difference, including Black Friday and Boxing Day. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Cold weather is coming, and low prices are here at Canadian Tire's biggest tire sale of the year. Save up to 25% on quality tire brands like Motomaster, Bridgestone, and Michelin at Canadian Tire. Only from October 11th to 31st. Conditions apply. Details online.
When skies turn gray and chaos unfolds, there's always a beacon of hope. The Red Cross. Through floods, fires, and unforeseen calamities, they are the helping hands, mending wounds and restoring faith. You can make a huge difference. Visit redcross.ca. Donate today. Light a lamp of hope.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.247. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having a lovely Tuesday afternoon. Well, it could be a terrific one if you like it. Terrific Tuesday at Papa John's. One of Con's favorite because it's his favorite code. The Tuesday code, Connor?
40 Tuesday.
There you go. That's 40, by the way.
40.
40 Tuesday. That gets you 40% off your pizza. Only at Papa John's. Now, the Oilers, of course, in the midst of 2 days between games, day off today, they'll skate tomorrow. And then they'll get set to take on the Nashville Predators on Thursday. There'll be no Connor McDavid in that game. We'll await the official diagnosis, which might come out tomorrow on McDavid. Original thoughts from people I spoke to is they didn't think it was that serious, but then we're quickly to say, that can, because I was after the game, things can change overnight. Does it swell up? Does it get worse? Who knows? So obviously they're going to go through as many tests as possible and find out what the diagnosis. I think everybody around the Oilers is hoping that it is a short term. Let's get to the footy report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest from 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. Andi Petrillo from CBC Sports, One Soccer, as well as Amazon Hockey, joins us again. Andi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, well, you know what? There's a little bit of angst in Edmonton today with the injury to McDavid. They're all waiting to see what the announcement is. And obviously they're hoping it's short term, which, is understandable and makes a lot of sense in any sport. If one of your best players goes down, it's not good for the league, and it's definitely not great for that team. So hopefully for them, it is a short term.
Well, yeah, of that, a player, to your point, of that magnitude, and especially with the way the season's been going, and a player like that draws numbers. So I can even tell you, like, next week, Amazon, we're in Edmonton.
Yep.
We're in Edmonton for the game. Of course you want Connor McDavid to be in that game. Of course you want to be able to highlight him. I mean, you want Connor McDavid on your prime show. And, there's just a lot that a player like that, he commands so much attention. But of course, the player is a person. So you just wish for the best and you trust that he knows his body well enough that even though he left in the first shift, that it's like, let me have this looked at. Let me not try to be a hero, especially when we're early into the season, because there's always if this were the playoffs, he'd play through it, but it's not. And it's not the playoffs. So chill. If you need to do something that you feel needs to, heal your body, then you take the time that you need right now.
Now, speaking of a big name, in Edmonton is a huge name. He's a pretty big name on the soccer world. Alphonso Davies, and the latest rumor with Man City.
Yeah. This is so fascinating. And this is what's also one of because there's many, but like a major difference between soccer and hockey. Right. And in hockey, you have agents and you have teams who are like, you'll know what's going on once a deal is signed. A lot of things are kept behind closed doors. You know nothing that's going on with negotiations. In fact, a lot of times it's even considered tampering. So you don't there's just this type of drama doesn't exist in the hockey world. But in the soccer world, oftentimes, and I want to put this out to fans who are listening, because it's so easy. And I know a lot of fans and people be like, well, of course you're saying this because you're media. No, I'm saying this because it's the truth. It is 100%. Okay, fine. I'll be fair. It is 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
A player's agent who is starting the rumor. And everyone's like, oh, look what the media is talking about. No, we're talking about it because the agent dropped it, right? Usually this stuff in the soccer world is started by the agent because they want to drum up interest
100%.
in their client. They want to get teams fighting over him. This is how it works in the soccer world. So I say this with Alphonso Davies because we've had this conversation where I do think Alphonso Davies' agent maybe spoke too soon publicly about, shaking hands and kind of agreeing in principle that they're going to join Real Madrid. And then Bayern Munich went, oh yeah. And then they went and signed a left back because they're like, well, you're leaving us, so take a hike. But then Real Madrid's like, but your deal's not over for another year and we don't need to pay you to break your deal. So you're just going to sit and wait. In the meantime, they're kind of moving on. So here's another thing that I heard, and this is another big reason why we're hearing other teams being interested in Alphonso Davies, and Manchester City could possibly be a move. And quite frankly, I think the Premier League would be fantastic. La Liga's huge, and please don't get me wrong with that, but there's just something about the Premier League that still has the most viewership, the most eyeballs, the most prestige. But what I'm also hearing is that he wants his next contract to be big money contract. And I don't blame him, right? He's one of the best, if not the best, players in CONCACAF. We've talked about him being one of the best left backs too in the world. So he wants to make good on his next contract. And Real Madrid, from what I understand, they require their players to hand over 50% of any of their marketing deals. So that includes the player's image. Yeah. So when their image is being used for any kind of commercial marketing, you name it, Real Madrid takes 50% of that.
Even if they're not in a Real Madrid uniform?
That's what it's sounding like, because you are, no matter what, a Real Madrid player, and the understanding is that you're clearly getting a lot of these deals or what have you because you are Real Madrid. Exactly. So you could see how a player would bristle at that and go, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So, it sounds more and more like that's becoming a little bit of a bee in the bonnet for Alphonso Davies. And I have to be honest, I don't really blame him, because with his type, like his caliber, with his skill, if a Premier League team is interested in you and you don't have to hand over half the money you make through marketing, why wouldn't you do that? 100%. So keep an eye on that, because, imagine if he goes to Man City, a team that apparently was dismissed at the beginning of the year. This is what's crazy, Jason. Man City dismissed. Liverpool dismissed.
Yeah.
Oh, funny how that, kind of changes now when you start to do a little bit more calming down here, and the agent now starts planting different little seeds for everybody to talk about.
It's like in real life, Andy. Some people, they're dismissive of you, and then all of a sudden they're, oh, geez, it doesn't look bad right now. Now, what about Jonathan? Speaking of another Canadian top-end player, Jonathan David. Sounds like he could be on the move.
Yeah, and without a doubt he will be, because even Lille, who he plays for right now in Ligue 1 in France, their president came out like a few months ago now. I want to say it was even during the summertime before the season even got going, that he said, listen, we're not going to renew his contract at the end of the year. And we've kind of always been waiting. I feel like the last few years, we've always had this conversation. Where is he going to go? He and Kyle Larin are they hold the joint all-time scorers for the Canadian national team. In fact, in that game against Panama, when Kyle Larin scored, he became the all-time leader for the men. And then Jonathan David went, hold my beer. And then he scored and tied him. But since August, Jonathan David has scored 13 goals in 18 games between Lille and the national team. And it's in certain games as well that he scored that has been so impressive. So they are in UEFA Champions League. He scored a goal against said Real Madrid. Talking about Alphonso Davies. He scored a goal against Real Madrid. He scored a couple goals against Atletico Madrid. He became the first CONCACAF player, so the player who represents this region, to score against those teams in the same UEFA Champions League tournament. So this guy is a scoring machine, and the rumor right now is that Barcelona could be interested in him. And a nice little, kind of connect the dots connection there. Hansi Flick, who's the manager of Barcelona, was the manager of Bayern Munich when Alphonso Davies first joined. So this is a guy who knows what Canadians can bring. He knows how they can adapt. And it was under Hansi Flick that Alphonso Davies, won the Champions League, with Bayern Munich and everything as well. So, and this is another thing as well in soccer, is that when you see certain guys from certain countries succeeding, then managers start to look at other players from that country. Yep. That's just kind of the way it is, right? So Alphonso Davies opening a bit of a door. So now, Jonathan David's kind of going through. So you're seeing a little bit now of that trust, so to say, that European managers are having in Canadian players. Because of what they're doing with the national team, but just because they're succeeding in Europe. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Keep an eye. I think he's going to go somewhere big. And right now, Barcelona seems to be the rumored team for Jonathan David.
What about Alistair Johnston? He was wearing the captain's armband. Is he the first Canadian to do that over there?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I feel like I'm kind of blanking on a name right now, but I remember, we had this conversation before. Now, maybe out in that league, but like as far as a Canadian player in Europe, overseas, I don't think he's the first. Okay. But he has been
rare.
It is, well, let's put it that way. It's rare. It's 100% rare. But again, this is like the door kind of being knocked over a little bit with what Canadians, the respect they're getting, right down to, again, it starts with the national team and now your rankings. I believe right now the Canadians might be sitting in 38th. And then you see what Davies is doing. You see what David is doing. For a long time, you saw what Kyle Larin was doing. And I don't want to dismiss it, but Atiba Hutchinson was doing this even long before these other guys. Now, mind you, he was doing it in the Turkish. He was doing it with Besiktas. So even though he was, doing incredible things overseas, it still wasn't, Premier League or La Liga, or in many ways like, Bundesliga. There's just a different kind of turning of the page here now for what Canadians are doing. And obviously Alistair Johnston, and it's just amazing what he's doing with, Celtic and that, nice little combat that they have there with Rangers. He's been excelling. They're winning trophies. They love him. He's a fan favorite. There was that video that came out just about a month or so ago where he's in his car and like the fans are just surrounding him and rocking it and trying to take pictures. Like, they absolutely love him there. And, and why not? Obviously, we missed him in the last window against Panama because he's been dealing with an injury, but he's clearly now back. So I think the, Canadians will be really looking forward to getting him back in November when they start up their CONCACAF Nations League.
And lastly, Erin McLeod signs in Halifax in the NSL. What do you make of this? Pros and cons of this deal, this signing?
Yeah, so, I'm excited because I do love Erin McLeod. And from a nostalgic point of view, you think of what she did with the national team all those years as the goalkeeper for Canada and the famous kind of red mohawk with the white sideburns there, right? The Canadian flag. And from a veteran and leadership point of view, you're like, this is fantastic. The guidance that she can provide in a league that we know is going to have a lot of young players because she's 41. Yeah. But here's the thing, like her knee is so damaged. It's like being held together with glue. She even admitted, even with this signing, that she was ready to retire, like done, gonzo, gone.
Yeah.
So she comes back. So you're like, okay, what kind of quality player are we going to be getting? So I don't want to dismiss any of the leadership, any of the veteran experience, anything good that she can bring from that point of view. But I am curious to see the next step here, Jason, when it comes to who are the other goalkeepers they're going to sign. Because they're probably going to be younger.
And they're probably going to be inexperienced, which means they should be getting playing time. Right. So if you're going to sign her, a 41-year-old who is still, kind of banged up, and she's going to be your number one, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of helping talent progress to then be called up to national teams. Do you see what I mean? It's a bit of a conundrum that I think the NSL is going to be in. And not that I want to dismiss players who are maybe near the end of their career, because being near the end of your career, you still have something to give. Being at the end is completely different. And the fact that Erin McLeod is, but apparently now was, at the end, kind of leads me to wonder if she's going to be the backup goalkeeper, then I think this is a fantastic signing. Okay. If she's going to be your number one, I have some questions. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. And that was with the Halifax Tides, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Andi, great stuff as always. We appreciate it. We'll chat with you next Tuesday. Have an awesome week.
Thanks. See ya.
There you go. That's Andi Petrillo joining us. She'll be, of course, the Order game for those who don't know now. Next Monday's game, it's only available on Amazon Prime. So that's the only place you can watch it unless you're going to the game. It's a 6:40 puck drop against the New Jersey Devils. When we come back, we got Terry Ryan, Dave McCarthy, Jason Strudwick join us. We'll talk about some guys. One guy looks like he's going to get his first chance in the NHL. Another guy's going to get another opportunity in the NHL with the Edmonton Oilers. Some wheeling and dealing. How can you make the money work? Well, there's a simple move. We can talk about that when we return on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Here's the Con Man Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. In 25 years, they are celebrating right now, bringing back all the classics, the Marathon, the Original, and the ultra-popular Creamsicle. Get it today when you download the Boosters Reward app or go online or in-store. Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
7 games on the NHL schedule tonight. The Flyers are in Boston. You got the Canadiens, the Kraken, Sens take on the Blues, Ducks up against the Islanders, Wild in Pittsburgh, Caps host the Rangers, and to wrap it up at 8 o'clock, the Sharks hosting the LA Kings. World Series could be done tonight as the Dodgers look to complete the sweep over the Yankees. First pitch set for 6:08 p.m. Mountain Time in the association. Just 4 games tonight. Nets, Nuggets, the Mavs in Minnesota. Jazz host the Kings and the Pelicans taking on the Warriors. Some news out of the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens bringing in wide receiver Deontay Johnson from the Carolina Panthers. The Ravens will send a 5th-round pick to the Panthers for Johnson, and Carolina's 6th-round selection. Johnson had 30 receptions, 350 yards, 3 scores for the Panthers this season. Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs has a torn ACL. He'll miss the remainder of the season. The injury was suffered in a non-contact play in Houston's 23-20 win over the Colts on Sunday. Speaking of those Colts, they will be benching their starting quarterback, Anthony Richardson, turning to the vet Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback. And the 16th Professional Women's Hockey League is launching its expansion process with plans to add 2 franchises for the start of next season. The PWHL season opens up on November 30th and features an expanded schedule with each team playing 30 games, up from 24 last year. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, former NHLer, star of Shoresy, and Hall of Famer Terry Ryan. Also, Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM NHL will be by to take a look around the NHL. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle.
Trollolo down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open. The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast, cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire, we're on this road together.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values.
We'll chat with
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Portions of this hour are brought to you by Culligan. For all of your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. I say welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, sports1440.ca. If you're watching on X, thank you very much. It's always presented by playalberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play this month of October. You only got a few days left. Oh, by the way, trick-or-treaters coming up in 2 days. Be prepared. Be on the lookout. Just remember how fun it was as a kid, and your excitement level sometimes takes over for your common sense on crossing the street. So be much more aware and cautious during the residential areas on Halloween. So, have loads of fun. It's a great time. Love trick-or-treating. Love seeing the kids come by in their costumes. It's awesome. So have fun. My one recommendation, don't hand out pop. It's terrible, but also it just weighs down the bag. It's the worst as a kid. 5-year-old's got 2 things of pop in there. They're like, Dad, I can't carry my bag anymore. Come on, don't do it. So welcome to the show. Gentleman who would never hand out cans of pop on Halloween. Former first rounder in the National Hockey League. 2-time author. Star of Shoresy and other shows right now. Terry Ron. TR, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing out there, JG and company?
I am good. Now, I was correct, right? You wouldn't hand out cans of pop on Halloween, would you?
No, for what you said, nothing heavy like that. I let people, honestly, I'm usually here. I like taking that evening and checking out the costumes and getting kind of festive. I don't overdo it like Clark Griswold, but I got my pumpkin going. I got a little graveyard looking thing outside with some lights on it. Get festive. And I open the door and I give options. I got healthy options. I got pretty much all the options. The little bags of chips, the little bars. And then I also got, a bunch of other, if you can believe it, healthy options they can pick from. Bananas. Nothing like that can get gross, like apples and stuff. Bananas, obviously in the peel.
Does anybody take you up on the banana?
Yeah, it does. But a lot of kids are going with their parents, and the parents will say, "Hey, you know what? Every single other place we're going, we're getting M&Ms. You take those." Or,
okay.
Those. They're not all like perfectly. You can get actual the candy that's got actual fruit in it. I know they all say made with real fruit, and there's like 1%, but these things are like whatever it is. They're dry. I don't eat them, but they got more. They're like dried fruit or whatever. And you'd be surprised these days. I don't think it would have happened much. If I was a kid, I wouldn't have wanted it at all. But you can only take so many of those orange peanuts.
Oh yeah, no, it's true.
It's
very true. Like I'm just curious. Some kids like, hey, I'm here for one day, man. I'm all in. So I'm all in.
Well, I think, Jason, I would be that guy, that old man that's yelling at the clouds that if I only had healthy stuff.
Yeah. The kids would be avoiding House Ryan if it was only healthy foods.
Totally.
Honest.
And I live in an area where I'm going to get, on average, a kid every 10 minutes.
Not many kids.
There might be a rush. I live in an older part. Well, first of all, it's not like suburbia. A lot of Mount Pearl is. I live in the older part of Mount Pearl. People used to come in here, and this is where they'd have their cabins if they lived on the other side of St. John's or whatever, right? So where I am, the landscape is kind of, back in the day, each plot of land is different, and they're an older crowd. If there are younger, like I said, they exist, but they probably would, like for Penny Lane, we would go around this area. I live close to my parents, and then we would go up in the top of Mount Pearl and do our trick-or-treating, just raid the houses of the young families, the subdivisions, easy, eat well lit, right? My area is not well lit, but where I'm getting point is, one every 10 minutes. I mean, I'd make them a sandwich if they want it. Not that they need it, but, they get a story too. What do you guys want? Some of them have heard of Shorzy. They're not really sure, but they know that guy's on TV, so I better deliver. Right? People are going out of their way, some of them, to come here, and I get that. So, it's a two-way street. I enjoy Halloween sometimes now for different reasons than I used to.
Yeah. No, it's totally valid. Yeah, last year I had 210 kids at our place. So, I write it down so I know, because the last thing I want to do is run out of candy.
Okay, I was going to say, what do you
a little bit numbers for? To make sure that now eventually, like in a few years, you'll start to see it. I think we're probably a year or two away from the peak, and then kids start to age out a little bit, right? That's just how it goes. So, and your neighborhood doesn't suddenly get young again right away. So, I think I got like 1 year left, maybe 2, and then we'll start to see, just like the NHL player TR, you get to that peak of the mountain and then slowly you just start to go down the other side. Let's get to the orders last night. There wasn't a lot of treats in that game, and obviously it started ugly with the injury to Connor McDavid. No official word on how long he's out yet. The initial was they hoped it wouldn't be long-term, but won't know more. They're getting more tests today, and we'll find out tomorrow or Thursday on the status of McDavid. I'm sure you've been on teams where a star goes down there, and it can either crush you, especially when the orders, like, their forwards are worst in the NHL right now at scoring. Their 15 goals is the worst in the NHL, and they were first and fourth, first and 23, fourth and 24 for goals by forwards. They're getting a lot of shots. I don't like their shot placement right now too often. I think they put themselves in a great position, and then they waste it by firing it in the direct in the pads or in the chest protector. But what do you make of this, and how do you feel this group is going to respond sans Connor McDavid?
You never want to see a guy like McDavid get injured, on and off the ice. The leader, the spokesperson for the team, the big brother, the icon for some kids coming in. So you don't want that to happen. But now that it often presents an opportunity, especially if you're slumping, for people to come together, because I think most people, I really do, I could be wrong, but a lot of people, at least that were gambling minds at the beginning of the year, would have still put the Oilers up there in teams to win the cup, whether there's McDavid or no McDavid, right? I'm not I'm not saying that he's not the best player on the planet either. I just mean, like, these guys made it to the final. You're looking at a lineup that, for all intents and purposes, is supposed to be deep. So that is, while alarming, and while we all want McDavid to be there the whole time, you often don't hear these stories where it's Connor McDavid and it's so massive, a player, and what the player does for the city and what the player does for the city and the sport, that obviously this is front page news, but there's often been times, and it runs across sports, that you might your best player might be out. And you think of Steven Stamkos. People talk, he's been there, and last night was his first time back in Nashville, and they're going, he delivered some cups. I know, but one of those cups he barely played at all. I know he got a goal. He got in for like two shifts.
Played 2.5 minutes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. So he didn't play much, and he was now. It's hard to really compare anything with Connor McDavid. I'm just saying that I know they have great other players. Just to name two, Stamkos is there, and Kucherov, who's right there, up there with scoring again. Yeah. But I could give you Draisaitl. I could give you there's other Braden Point. I could give you a Nuge. I could give you lots of guys down the lineup that add up in relative terms very similar. The Lakers going way back. I remember being a kid and hearing about them winning without Kareem Abdul playing the final two games, who was a megastar at the time. The Raptors needed a few wins 5 years ago now, and Kawhi, who isn't dependable as a player at all, you could kind of see that coming. So you knew at some time he was going to go down. And the Raps, and basketball, they needed him, I think, as much as the Oilers need McDavid. And, the players got the 3 wins, whatever it was they needed. It often, and you don't want it to happen. Obviously, in hindsight, in none of those situations would you want those players to go down. But when they do, other people get an opportunity. And if you're a guy like, I don't know, Adam Henrique, I'm guessing maybe, get him out of this funk because he's around. Maybe he moves up a little bit. Maybe a guy like Philp comes up from the minors and gets a chance to play in the NHL and only plays 8 minutes, but they're 8 great minutes. And maybe he busts the game open in overtime. And now all of a sudden, right, you're on that ship that just stays on the course. And, for me as a player, I'm thinking, and I can't compare, I can't give you anything that's comparable to Connor McDavid going down. But over the years, there's often been times that I've been on a team and you're losing one of your best players, most important players, leaders in the room, whatever it might be. And it's just usually the guys get there and they understand that. And it's hard to, you don't get to the NHL without really having times like this in the past, whether it's junior, NCAA, midget, AAA. You play in big games, and at some point you play without your big players or big player. And I think most people, like myself, would say that it gives everybody else a chance to step up and do something. And you should kind of welcome it as a player. I know I did.
Terry Ryan joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll take a quick break. Dave McCarthy will join us. It is official. We talked about this last hour, but Noah Philp and Trey Caggiula have been recalled from Bakersfield. So the Oilers are now officially into LTIR. Remember, Kane was on LTIR. Now they're just officially in LTIR and not accruing cap space for the short period of time that they're here. So Noah Philp likely to make his NHL debut on Thursday. And Drake Caggiula, who my scouting reports tell me has been the most consistent forward in Bakersfield, will likely get a shot in the lineup starting Thursday. We'll come back, discuss more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love? With no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year.
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
iHear Unicare provides hearing aid devices at affordable prices. Plus, all 5 locations, including our new Stony Plain and St. Albert stores, have free parking near the entrance. At iHear Unicare, we listen. Book an appointment at iHearUnicare.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.323. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and X. We got a lot of texts wondering, people, how can the Oilers just bring these two guys up? I thought they don't have cap space to do it. Well, remember, they put Evander Kane on LTIR, but the Oilers have never actually been in LTIR, meaning he was in LTIR, and so it's very weird. You just because you place a person on LTIR, if he fits under the cap, then it doesn't count against it. Other than I think it was $51 because they got right to the cap and then they put him on there, right? Remember that on season opening. So now they McDavid stays on the roster. They bring up Philp, who wouldn't put him over, but by bringing up Caggiula, that puts him into LTIR. So and you know what? So all it means is they don't get to accrue cap space for as long as they have both guys on the roster. That's essentially what it works out to. And, they're obviously feeling like, hey, we need a little bit of a jump. Caggiula's, by my accounts, has been the most consistent player forward, that is, down in Bakersfield. And Noah Philp's been very good as well. So both of them come here, and I'm going to guess you're going to see both of them. Like, why would you recall a guy and then not accrue cap space, just have him sit in the press box? So I think you will see two guys. Now, Derek Ryan got hit again in that game, so I wonder maybe he's out. We'll find out tomorrow at practice for the Lions. Now, let's get to Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. You have 3 days remaining to play Monopoly at McDonald's. You can win great prizes, furniture, cars, cash, great food. Get some of your faves. Who would turn down an extra Big Mac? And have you tried, if you haven't done it, the Big Arch, still tried it. It's so good. Only at McDonald's. As Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. And Dave, obviously, it's a big story when Connor McDavid is down with an injury. We don't know exactly how long yet. The initial reports were they were hoping it wouldn't be too serious, but obviously that can change when things swell up overnight, yay or nay. So, they're doing more tests today, got back to Edmonton, and away they go from here. You look at the orders, even with McDavid in their lineup, shockingly, they're the worst scoring forward team in the league. They're averaging the fewest goals in the league. It's been a disastrous start offensively. They're still 4-5-1, so it's not terrible. They're actually better than last year when they were 2-9-1. But it is quite of a stunner just how pedestrian their offense has been through 10 games.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the good news is that they're only a couple of points away from third place. They're right there in sniffing distance for second. It's not devastation like it was last year, but you roll into Columbus last night and you play poorly and you get run out of the building. That's not ideal at all. And you want to start to show some signs. And I think what's difficult is that we've never really been through a period of time in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's career where they've been unproductive for sustained period. So I don't think people know how to comprehend it. Now, here's the good news. It is normal. It is normal. Mere mortals, most people go through periods where they're not at their best, where they're not producing at an elite level. It's just so rare that McDavid and Draisaitl have really never gone through a prolonged stretch of underproductivity. So I think it will come around. Obviously, now with McDavid injured, that poses a little bit of a concern. But now you're going to be able to ask guys to move up the lineup. It's not like they don't have the personnel; they can always shift RNH back to the middle of the ice. They can move Draisaitl up the lineup, and that's more than good enough to keep you under control, if you will, to stem the tide while McDavid is out. So, again, I'm not concerned about the Oilers because I do think they will get it rolling at some point. And the fact that the Pacific hasn't run away from them at this point leads me to be even more calm than I ordinarily would be in a situation like this.
Yeah, and that's fair. Calgary's lost 3 in a row. Like, Vegas is the one team that's playing very well, and most people thought they would. Vancouver's in a fun. What do you make of Elias Pettersson? And it's been an extended slump for him at 5-on-5.
Well, I think it's a terrible look, right? And not only has it been an extended slump at 5-on-5 this year, really dating back to the beginning of March last year, including the playoffs, he has gone in the tank. And the reason that exacerbates the bad look is because the beginning of March was right around the time that he signed his new deal at big money. And we all recall that at the time, it was a little bit of a contentious negotiation. So, he put his stake in the ground. He said, this is what I'm worth. He ultimately got 11 plus. So you think, okay, you get what you're worth. And now instead of playing like the man, he's playing like the boy, right? And that's not good enough when you make that kind of money. He played a little bit better when he had played with Connor Garland, but man, when there's an 11 in your envelope at the end of the year, you're the guy who should be making others around you better, not requiring supplementary players to make you better. So 1 goal in 8 games. He was no good in the playoffs last year. Only had 1 goal in 13 games. Not good the last 2 months of the regular season. Like, I would like to catch Ricky Tocchet in a candid moment here and ask him what is going through his mind, because he cannot be pleased with what he is seeing.
Dave, speaking of underachieving, you're out there in Toronto. What do you think is the reason the Maple Leafs power play is so poor, given that they have some big-time guns, including the biggest scorer on the planet, goal scorer? What is the reason, you think?
It's a good question, because much like Elias Pettersson, this has dated back to around about the end of February last year, where the power play starts to go in the tank. And quite honestly, like it has a lot of years gone in the tank around the end of February, early March, and has been no good in the playoffs. But then by the next season, they usually go on the fantasy tour and get rolling for the first 4. Like, you laugh, but it's true, right? Their power play has been historically good in the first 4 months of the regular season for quite some time. But it has been a continuing issue this year. So they changed the personnel on Monday against Winnipeg, taking John Tavares and William Nylander off that unit, and sort of spreading the wealth. I think when you have 4 guys, 4 forwards that make as much as Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares do, your natural inclination is to load all of that up on the same unit, and that should be good. And it did work for a number of years, but clearly they need to shake up the personnel, because they've lost the right, as far as I'm concerned, to just continue to roll out there like it's a fait accompli. At the end of the day, you got to shoot it in the net, and if you're not doing it, their power play is about 10% since the end of February last year, not nearly good enough. Then you lose that right, and so they changed the personnel up last night. And now we'll start to see. Just looking up here, where they were 0 for 2. So yeah, I didn't think they scored goals. Make sure memory serves correctly. It didn't fix it. But I would expect them to stick with the new groupings for a period of time here, just because what had been working had clearly gotten stale, and they need to try something else. So beyond that, I wish I had a better answer for you, Terry, because it's very confusing, like it was, for instance, last year in Pittsburgh, when they could roll out the kind of talent that they could with Crosby and Malkin and Gensel at the time, and Letang and Karlsson, and their power play was historically awful, so bad to the point that it probably cost them a playoff spot, because a better power play is probably worth a handful of points, which gets them right there. So it's confusing. It doesn't make sense, but too stagnant, too predictable. That's the best way that I could describe it. And we'll see if the new personnel alters the results.
Recent history would tell you that the Leafs at some point recently were big on Timothy Liljegren enough to sign him. Now, I'm looking at it. He's 8th or 9th, at least, in the depth chart, if you're choosing to play the players that they're choosing ahead of him. So they've lost confidence. Do you see him getting traded? I'm assuming that has something to do with Berube. I could be wrong, just given the timing of all this. Do you see Timothy Liljegren getting traded?
Oh, I think they'd like to, but there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, as you point out, it's very confusing that they decided to qualify him and then sign him last year, when they could have just walked away from him if they don't feel he's a guy that can contribute. Because everything about Toronto, just like in Edmonton, is about now. It's not about 2 and 3 years down the road. It's, if I'm going to allocate, in his case, $3 million. It's not a small. It's not 1. It's 3. Going to allocate that kind of money to a player. They need to be able to help me. And sitting beside me in the press box does not help them on the ice. So that was confusing. I don't know why they did that. If you don't think he can help you, just cut bait. Let him walk. And he can sign somewhere else. And if he goes on to, be a good player on a lousy team, then so be it. But you came to the conclusion that he wasn't going to help you in the playoffs, and I think that's the right conclusion. So that was strange. I think Berube looked at him in camp and watched how he played and said, no, I can't use that. What I want on my third pairing, because he's not going to play in the top 4 right now, that's not what I want. So he's only played the 1 game, which I think was a bit of a showcase game to LA when they were in town, who could be looking for a right-handed shooting, relatively competent puck moving type guy, to say up close and personal, do you like him? You want this guy? You want to take his conference? But $3 million, there's not a lot of people lining up to acquire that deal right now. So it makes it difficult to trade. Maybe later in the year, closer to the deadline, when some teams have accrued some space, the cap hit is smaller, maybe he becomes a more movable piece. But right now, there's not a lot of teams lining up to acquire him, quite frankly, because it's not just the Leafs. I think a lot of teams have looked at him and said, yeah, he probably needs to be a top 4 defenseman and get some power play time to really reach his ceiling. But he's not going to do that on a good team. And bad teams aren't looking to take on money right now at this point in time. So I think that's part of the issue as to why he's a continual healthy scratch, and 2, they can't move him.
Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. Yeah, it's difficult now in a cap world. You're moving $3 million. Usually it's either at the deadline and somebody's retaining something, or you're going to be taking it back yourself. No doubt about it. Steven Stamkos made his return to Tampa Bay, and the Predators lose in overtime. He did get an assist as they got close in that game. No surprise, had a rousing ovation from the home crowd. I think he actually had 2 assists in the game, so he came in with only 1 point and leaves with 3. So he was fired up, and maybe that gets him going. But the reason I asked that question, Dave, is Tampa Bay is a little bit of the unicorn in the sense of a top championship team who was like, you know what? We're not going to sign one of our franchise guys as he gets older. We're going to make a tough decision that we think is the right decision and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a lot, because we can go through the list of other teams, Detroit, Chicago, go down the list.
LA back in the day.
Right. LA, same thing. Who didn't do it? And I wonder if other teams will take note. Now, Vegas is the one team that has shown, they don't, like they did it with Marchessault, but he's not a superstar like Stamkos was, right. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. But I wonder if teams are starting to maybe say, hey, you know what you've done for me in the past is wonderful, but I want us to stay competitive, and I might have tough decision. Do you think more follow suit? And do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs, if one never won the cup, might do the same thing?
It's funny you should say that, because that was the very example that I was about to reference, because the Leafs have a decision like that coming up themselves this year, and that decision is the future of John Tavares. He has made no bones about the fact that he would like to remain in Toronto. Now, he's coming off a hat trick on Monday against Winnipeg, so this make my point look bad here, but I don't see why, especially right now, you would think of getting into any kind of negotiation with John Tavares. Let the year play out and see how things work. If you can come to an agreement but it's going to have to be a low number. Like I don't think the Leafs should be wanting to pay John Tavares like even $7 million over 4 years. Like, I just think that's too much money at this point in his career, because he's never been a fleet of foot guy. At times over the last year and a bit, his 5-on-5 production has dropped off quite significantly. Now the power play in and of itself is not producing. And so you have to ask yourself, like, are we signing him because the name on the back of his jersey is Tavares and he was our captain and he's the hometown kid and he's later on in his career and he likes it here and we're folksy about it? Or do we still really truly believe that throughout the duration of this contract, the next 4 years, because remember, that's what it's about. The window is like 3-4 years here. They can't tie their hands while they've got Matthews on the books for another 3-4 years. They got to make hard decisions. And I'm not sure the answer to that question is yes, they should sign him at that money. If he wants to come back at like $3 million, as the reported Steven Stamkos offer was from Tampa Bay, okay, I think you could probably do worse than John Tavares for $3 million.
Totally.
But at 6-7, that's a lot of money, man. So it's an unpopular decision right now. Tampa looks like they may have made the right call, because Stamkos got off to a slow start. Now, is that the culture shock? Is that getting into a new system? Is it all of that? We have to wait longer to see, to truly get a read on where his play is at. But like, I see what they're doing in Tampa Bay. I do get it. Like, it's tough to let a guy like that go. To take that guy out of the room. It pulls at the fabric of the culture in your room. But you rely on guys like Hedman and Cirelli, Nick Paul, those type of guys to keep the fabric together, like they have in Boston when guys have gone over the years, the Chars, the Bergerons. You hope that culture is strong enough. So it's a difficult decision, but man, in a cap world, boys, you have to make cold, hard decisions sometimes, and paying a guy who's 34, 7 sheets a year for another 4 years when dollars and cents matter. I think you can do better than John Tavares for $7 million at that point in his career.
Dave, very quickly, it's 10 games in. The Atlantic Division is ultra tight.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any of the outsiders, which is Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit, and Buffalo, who give you strength in thinking they can crack the top 4 this year?
So we're including Boston as a team that we're comfortable in, eh?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, they've been one of the top 4. Maybe they're not. So maybe someone goes in and they come out.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Ultimately, someone's got to fall out for someone to come in. And Florida not falling out. Tampa Bay's gotten off to a pretty good start, everything considered. Losing Stamkos, the Hurricanes, the uncertainty of, all of that. Talk about being away for a week and that'll affect how you play. So they've played pretty good. I think they're going to be okay. Toronto's going to be fine. Like, Boston to me is maybe the team that starts to slide out. But it's hard to count them out. And so when I look at Ottawa, still not seeing it, man. Like, when they win, it's like 6-5. And that's nice, but that's not sustainable. They still haven't shown me anywhere near enough proficiency when it comes to defending and playing when they don't have the puck. Their goal differential is 0 right now. Like, they should be in the plus. Buffalo's played a little bit better. I was high on Buffalo coming into the year, so I'm still gonna say if there's one team that I'm confident in, or not confident, but if you force me to place a bet on, I'd put it on Buffalo. Tage Thompson's looking like himself, which is good. Their goaltending's been okay. They would be the team, but I'm not super confident, I'll put it that way, because ultimately for them to get in, Boston's got to fall out, and it's hard to count Boston out so early into the year either.
Davey, great stuff, man. We'll chat with you on the brunch on Sunday.
Okay, boys. See you.
See you, buddy. McCarthy from Sirius XM. I do his show every Sunday. He does ours every Tuesday. We'll turn. We got Ryan's rant. We got Jason Strudwick. More on the orders if you missed it. Drake Caggiula back in the NHL. It's a great story, man. He hasn't played in the NHL since March 2nd of 2023. And that year he only played 4 games in the NHL. He's really only played 4 games in the NHL since the end of the since the 21 season, he's played 22 games. So the last 3 years, 22 games in the NHL. He's just kept grinding it out. And my scouting reports tell me he was being Bakersfield's most consistent forward. So he gets a recall, add some energy. And everybody saw him here as one of the last cuts. He played really well in the preseason for what you're expecting in a role. So him and Noah Philp maybe get a little bit of extra juice in that lineup. And, hey, they could need it. Who knows, man? Maybe just seeing another guy like that. Jeez, look at this guy. Just grinding it out. Maybe that gets some other guys off the schneid. Who knows? But I would think they called them both up. They're both going to play Thursday in Nashville. We'll find out what line tomorrow in practice. Take a quick break. We'll turn. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can always text us 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend.
And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle, made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's #1.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Herrenschwiener. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
it might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I want to talk to you about your roof. Actually, I'm talking about the roof on your house. If your roof were to spring a leak, how soon would you want to fix it?
Pretty much the instant you discover it, Rick.
That's right, Bob. The damage it can do to your home is measured in minutes, not weeks. But if you have a leak in your RV while it's stored away for the winter, this can lead to catastrophic problems, because you wouldn't even know what's happened until spring, with months of damage already done.
Manufacturers recommend a roof assessment at least every year.
Right again, Bob. That's why Noble RV offers free roof assessments every fall. We'll climb up there and check the condition of your RV's roof and give you a detailed report in writing. That way, you'll know if your RV is ready for another harsh northern Alberta winter. It's a free service we provide, and it could save you thousands in repair costs down the road.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.347, yeah, fitting song for the Drake Caggiula. Hey, he's not going to solve all of the problems for the Edmonton Oilers, but here's the truth. The difference between NHL guys, some bottom six, some fourth line guys and guys in the American League is very small for a lot of players. Sometimes it's opportunity. Sometimes it's situational. Right. Sometimes you get pegged a little bit as, he's just an NHL player. It happens. And the one thing that Drake Caggiula will bring is he plays with a little bite in his game. The Oilers, now Corey Perry, great for Corey Perry, but when Corey Perry's got to be like your go-to pest at his senior citizen age in the NHL, that kind of shows maybe something's lacking some other guys. And now the Oilers, I don't blame the players. When you build a team that doesn't have a lot of guys with jam, I don't expect them to play with jam. All right, so get some guys who have it. And Drake Caggiula at least have it. He'll fight the odd time. He can hit. He'll be physical. So that can add it. It's not going to change everything. It's not suddenly means the Oilers are going to score more goals. Not automatically anyway. but it might add a little bit more fire sometimes, especially maybe in the first period. Like first shift, go out and hit somebody. The Oilers' first periods, are you kidding me? Brutal. They were second in the NHL in first period goals last year. They got 3 in 10 games this year. They had 91 last year. They're on pace for 25. It's awful. So, yeah, anything that can get some juice flowing earlier in a game will be a lot better in my regard. TR, what do you think?
Yeah, listen. Since we're talking about it, so I was going to kind of go here for my rant today, but look.
Well, just okay. Well, how about we get to TR's tale? Brought to you by Action Electrical. They can help you save more on solar right now for both home or commercial. Go to actionelectrical.net and they'll help you out. Here is Ryan's rant, TR's tale.
Yeah, for me. So look, I don't want this to seem like an all-out criticism, like I'm throwing knives here, because these guys, I think, know the difference, and I can speak from experience, and whatever I can provide that way as a hockey analyst, as someone who's played the game at all levels. But I can't speak to what it's like to be in the Stanley Cup final, and these guys can. And they went through it with against a hard team, a hard fought. If you count the regular season, they came from the very, very last, literally the last team in the league, to losing in just a goal away from winning the Stanley Cup. Okay, so I don't want. This isn't like a permanent criticism, but sometimes you get sleeping. I don't know if it's Stanley Cup hangover or anything. I really don't. Does anybody really? But what I can tell you is that watching that game, to me, nor am I saying I really, really think Knobloch's doing a great job. But if this is another time, another place, it was the kind of game that gets a coach fired, because I'm looking at it going, it's one thing to lose McDavid. Now, how are you going to respond, right? Like, what I noticed watching, I could be wrong here. I don't have the analytics in front of me. They didn't throw a lot of hits, did they?
Dude, they haven't been no, they haven't thrown a lot of hits all year long.
Okay.
And that's not their team. But I will say this, Terry. Guys, get out of your comfort zone. There's some guys who can deliver a body check a little bit more often.
Especially when you go in and guys like Olivier are taking over the game. Like you gotta know that. And you gotta know Struddy would know it. Like I remember just being on the bench sometimes going like, that happened in different games. And going, okay, like someone has to match that. Like we just got to go out. It might not even be go out and grab Olivier. I'm not saying that. Sometimes it's an option though. But I'm saying just let's go out and just finish. Like I'm gonna finish 5 hits, and once I get that in, I'm gonna go and finish 5 more. Like, you've got to at least show the other team that you're not going to roll over, and that's one of the easiest ways to do it. I can't wait. Some of the reason that these big stars aren't scoring is just some of it's pure luck, some of it's shooting it really not bearing down, right? But you can't make yourself go and score. Wish you could. You can't do it. It's the hardest thing. You can't make yourself as a pitcher go in and strike somebody out. You can't. But you can go out there and show some spunk, no matter what sport you're in. Hockey, it's so easy. Again, talking relative terms, I'm not trying to speak down to the Oilers, but I'm telling you, in some of the limited chances I've had, I remember, and sometimes you just put it in there and you mix it up a little bit. One of the games I played was late in the year, and they wanted a bit of spark because they were going into the playoffs. I remember getting in 2 fights. They didn't tell me to fight, but it was against Buffalo. And it was someone like Jonas Höglund or something. And then they told him that, Terry's not going to stay in the lineup, but we're just going to shake it here a little bit. Like, you guys need something. We got the playoffs next week. And so I just took it as an opportunity. And I remember just finishing every hit. Even if you look online, both fights are there, Bugner-Barnaby. And the first fight against Bugner, he's gotten rid of the puck. It doesn't affect the play one way or the other, but I finish my hit, man. I nail him because I know people are looking at it. And it's much about momentum and making a statement to the fans, to the organization, to your teammates. Now I'm saying that as a point of view, if I was one of the kids going in, if I'm Philp or Caggiula getting back into the lineup after a while, because I think they will see that. But I don't understand why regulars don't often see that. Like, I think it's the easiest thing to do in sports. And now with all this time and energy spent getting so specifically strong like a robot, and being out there and having to do all that. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Now, I know it's on the road, but go out. I'm telling you that as a player that I looked around, I could see players, if you want the obvious ones, I don't know, from the NHL. My NHL experience would be definitely Darcy Tucker, Shane Corson, even guys that just don't go out. Craig Conroy was like that. I played with Craig a little bit. Like, Craig wasn't this guy that you'd think of to go out there like Darcy Tucker, but he didn't jam out. He never jammed out in those situations. And, a guy like Aaron Asham, again, it's obvious. But when he got up and got his chance in the NHL, that's it. This guy was a middleweight in junior. He scored 45 goals. He just figured, when I'm up here now, okay, there's going to be a little bit of icing off the cake. I'm not going to score all these goals, but I got to do something here. And I know you see the fights, but Ash really didn't get in like 30. He wasn't this big. No. And often all kinds of time went by, he didn't get in them. But he finished the hits, and you knew going in. Look, Aaron Asham did not make it out of his division, or his conference at least. All the teams, because they all saw him coming through every year. And it was a great guy to have on your third or fourth line, because he'd go in and those things wouldn't happen. And I guarantee you that if that game happened last night with a guy like Asham, I'm not saying they don't exist on the Oilers, right? I'm not. Kane is out. He'd be the first guy, but Perry's playing. Guys finish hits. I mean, and Henry, guys finish hits. Hyman, I mean, these guys finish hits. I know they're skilled. And I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of guys with any. Most, I think, had like one, maybe two. Like, that's just inexcusable. And to me, it's something that we can all do. Like, if, I'm looking at it going, man, this is something we all have in us. Why isn't everybody doing it? I just don't understand it. And for me, I would look at it as an opportunity. Does anybody want to play in Columbus on the road in late October, November? No, man, nobody. I didn't want to play in Prince Albert, or where are we going? Worcester. In the NHL, one of those games was against the Legion of Doom, Philly. Did I want that? No, but it's an opportunity. Okay, I'm in tonight. If I finish 6 hits tonight in Philly, the people who drafted me, I'm going to be, I'm going to be delivering what they expected of me as a player. I'm going to be overachieving if nobody else does it. How am I going to get the spotlight on me? Because it's hard enough, man. You go out there, anybody can make a mistake, and you might make 5 in a game and go like, wow, but combine that then with going out and finishing every hit and spraying the goalie, whatever. Olivier's on his game. Okay, I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to hit somebody else. I'm going to spray. I'm going to fall in front of the net. There's some reason. Oh, yeah, because he had points. He had at least 1 point. I think he might have had 2. And 2 big-time checks. And you got to answer that with something. I just think if there's young kids out there it's not always goals and assists, man. If you're junior, you're in midget or whatever, listening to this, just go out. Finish it. Will you get in those times? And everybody has it. Not just the Oilers losing McDavid, whoever I'm talking to now. You could be in Blackfalds. You could be in Red Deer. You could be playing Bantam in Wetaskiwin. I just think that those opportunities, those situations, those adverse situations, they might suck for some players. It sucks for McDavid. It sucks for Draisaitl. But you know what? It might be great for me coming up from the minors, or as a fourth liner, or whatever it is. These guys, if I want another contract, what better a time to go out and finish every hit and play intense in a game that nobody else is. So I just look at that as a missed opportunity. And again, these guys know better. I'm saying this, and they played with the most jam possible last year, and in the finals barely lost out to a team that threw everything at them, physically and mentally. So for some reason, they've got to get that mindset. I don't know how they're going to do it. You would think that it would be there by now, but I was one kind of pubic hair away from being embarrassed watching that game. And I can't say that much about the Oilers.
There you go, Ryan's Rant. I love it. Brought to you by Action Electrical. And we'll see. Can they got to bring a little bit more fire, especially in the first period. The Oilers have scored first in only 3 games this season. And they've only led after the first period twice. And they lost both of those games. So usually you have a lead after the first. You have you win 7 out of 10 games on average. The Oilers, now granted it's only 2, but they're 0 for 2. They've trailed or tied in most of their games after 20 minutes. So you're playing from behind all the time. It's not ideal. They got to find, and they're just not scoring early. Right? Try to get up on a team. Hasn't happened yet this season. Quick break. will return. We got Jason Strudwick coming up. More. The Oilers' little fire. I love it. The text line's heating up. 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. But first, let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. And hey, they make your seasonal tire changeover hassle-free by offering convenient tire storage services. So when you switch to your winter tires, they'll store your summer tires. Go to fountaintire.com and find a location near you.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Following the Connor McDavid injury, the Edmonton Oilers making a few roster moves, recalling forwards Noah Philp and Drake Caggiula from the Bakersfield Condors. Oilers back in action tomorrow, taking on the Nashville Predators. Tonight, you've got the Flyers in Boston. Canadians host the Kraken. Blues take on the Sens. Ducks up against the Islanders. Penguins host the Wild. The Caps take on the Rangers. And the Kings in San Jose tonight, 8 o'clock to wrap up the evening. It is Game 4 of the World Series from New York as the Yankees look to stay alive, trailing the Dodgers 3-0. First pitch set for 6:08 in the association. Just 4 games tonight. You got the Nets and Nuggets. Mavs take on the Timberwolves. Jazz host the Kings, and the Pelicans take on the Warriors. From the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens acquiring wideout Deontay Johnson from the Carolina Panthers. The Ravens will send a 5th-round pick to the Panthers for Johnson and Carolina's 6th-round selection. Houston Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs done for the season after suffering a torn ACL in Houston's 23-20 win over the Colts on Sunday. Sticking with those Colts, they are benching quarterback Anthony Richardson, turning to the vet Joe Flacco. The 6-team PWHL is launching its expansion process with plans to add 2 new franchises for the start of next season. The PWHL second season opens up on November 30th with an extended schedule going from 24 games last year to 30 games each this year. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by former NHLer Jason Strudwick, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program. It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
You'll see us digging holes. No, we're not looking for buried treasure. You'll see us digging trenches as well. And no, we're not building a fort. We're GS Construction, and you'll see us in neighborhoods throughout the Edmonton area. So what are we doing? GS Construction provides rehabilitation and upgrade services to Edmonton and surrounding communities. Some of our underground utilities have served us for years and are past their useful lives. We replace them, so they're around for years to come. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantor.
Just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440 Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, as always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's #1 online gambling website where all the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. As the Oilers, if you missed it, made a few moves today. Now, remember, Evander Kane was on LTIR, so they're able to recall Noah Philp and Drake Caggiula. All it means is now the Oilers won't be accruing cap space as they have 14 forwards on the active roster. Connor McDavid is still on the roster, but he's not going to be eligible to play tomorrow night, and we'll find out maybe as early as tomorrow just the extent of his injury. The early prognosis was positive in the sense that they didn't think it was long-term, but I was told to be to say that and then add, however, things can change by overnight the next day because that came last night. So we'll see where it goes. 833-401-1440. Question for Terry. Hey, TR, you talked about how you read it and you knew that you had to be physical, but you kind of had a physical element. What if there's guys who don't play physical? Can they suddenly play physical 10 years into the NHL, 8 years into the NHL?
That's a great question. But think if they do, then it certainly stands out, right? What a spark the team would get. And I know lots of people like that. I'll give you an example from a guy that got drafted in the first round a year after me that I played 3 full seasons of pro with, Matt Higgins. There you go. Anybody that Matt is definitely not a physical guy, but he wouldn't get run out of the building and he wouldn't even go looking for it. But if we were somewhere like a tough place, Matt would play and Matt would finish his hit. Like there, and when he did it, we were like, okay, wow. There's other players. I don't know, Saku Koivu. There's one. You know, do you think of him to be a hitter, but he wouldn't get run out of buildings? I'm not saying he would go out and initiate and be crazy about it, but you gotta stay in that, you know, we're not going to get run over mode. And you look down the bench, and you know, you got to really, for lack of a better way to put it, give your balls a tug. You know, that's just it. Now, I know that it was in my game to probably be more ferocious than other guys.
Right.
But, lots of people can go up, block a shot. I don't know, start a scrum in front of the net. Doesn't have to be a hit. Maybe you're not a great hitter, but just, but throw it in the corner then. Throw it in. Yeah, I got it. Don't think at the blue line. Might be a great play, but I might turn it over. But you know what's going to definitely happen if I put it in the corner? The D is going to have to get it out, and he's going to have to think about me coming behind him. So just, I think throwing these enormous hits, that's black and white, and that's not what I mean. But I mean, everybody can go out there and give their balls a tug and play a little bit more physical, and at the very least match what the other team is doing, especially when someone goes out. Again, I counted twice that there was pretty big hits with really there wasn't much pushback, but again, so to answer your question, I think everybody can go out there and do something that's a little bit above themselves.
Yeah. You have to get out. Look at Corey Perry's the prime example. Now, Corey Perry's always played, he was a superstar. Well, superstar, maybe not, but he was a very, very good player. He was an Olympian. So yeah, I guess he was a superstar. He was a 50-goal scorer once. Guy was highly productive, was agitating. He didn't fight nearly as much. He would do it every now and then. But you see him now, like, he knows his role as a fourth-line player, and he's been a first-line player. He's been a second-line player. He's been a third-line player. Now at the end of his career, he's a fourth-line guy, and he understands if I'm going to play this role, this is part of the role. So, yeah, now I would also say, hey, how they constructed the roster. When you don't have that many physical players, I can't be shocked that they're not a physical team. To me, it's more so the construction of the roster. Now it's early, and I always said, hey, they're going to miss Kane more than they missed any of the other forwards that left town. And I know that there was people writing, oh, the Oilers won't miss Kane. And I'm like, you guys are delusional. 24 goal scorer, hits like a truck, hits physical all the time, adds an attitude. And you're telling me, well, because of these numbers, which were grossly misleading, in fact. And once I did a quick research on it, proving that not true. So either way, I look at, I think they miss Kane's physicality, no question. And it's hard to find those guys, but Caggiula will bring that. Now he's going to play limited minutes, so it's not going to solve all of the woes of a team. But if you can improve in small 1 or 2% increments in certain areas, Terry, all that adds up, and then you become a better team.
Then you become a better team, and of course, when like if you had, say, a guy like Kane, and if everybody did respond, it just wouldn't be so lopsided in the first place. You know what I mean? And I get it. And it comes with team construction. And that's why in the early part of the season, that's what it's for teams that have a legit shot at winning the Stanley Cup, or at least they have dreams of it. Then that's what this kind of thing is for, right? I mean, I've always said it. I think 82 games are too many for professional hockey players to play. But if there's any positive side of that, is that you really know by the playoffs what kind of team you got. And this 10-game stretch has told you some things, and you just keep working on them, because at the very least, you're in the Oilers. If you're a fan of the Oilers, you know that you've seen it. It's been proven. You don't just believe it. Like, the core is there, right there. You just need to tweak a few things, and you're going to be in for a fine and entertaining season. So that's kind of what this thing is for. And the other thing, like I said, they've responded before in more ways than the vast majority of fans, myself included, can really relate to. And sometimes I think the beginning of the next hockey season, to a player, even for me, I remember, God, it just seems like such a long road. Imagine if you got one goal away, right? Imagine if you got to the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and that's your goal, and you don't win, and you got to go back now, and here's what we got to do again. And this is the first step of like a 30-step ladder that's going to keep getting harder and harder and harder, and more pressure and physical and mental adversity. I can totally see how you would subconsciously more than consciously, because if you're doing it consciously, then you got to really look yourself in the mirror making all that money. But, I can see how it would kind of by osmosis, or that whole not relax or not doubt. I don't think they doubt themselves, but the whole inner motivator to get up and finish every hit in October, I can see how that would be a little bit monotonous on the brain. But so I'm preaching this, but I think that the Oilers know, and I think it's correctable, and everything right down, like you just said, it's how the team is put together. And I get that. That's part of it too. It's as much as the on ice, but everybody involved we've seen correct before. Right, we've seen the coach really pick it up when he's had to. We've seen the people putting the team together, the brass, So I don't think any of this is cause for alarm. But and each team has some real stinkers in the course of a season. I can't think of any team that's ever won anything that haven't. But I think last night was a huge wake-up call, not just from McDavid being out, but from what players can do maybe to fill their roles.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. There's two ways to react for the McDavid one. You can cry, woe is me, and go into a shell, or you say, guess what? We're going to come out now punching, and I don't mean that literally, but you know what I mean. Ready to say, hey, we got a good group of players in here, and who knows? Like, the Oilers have been struggling. Maybe this is the way to get them to wake up. We'll find out. One game isn't going to solve all their woes, but we'll see. Can they have a good start? That you got to start in baby steps. To me, what's priority number one? A good start, because they simply haven't had many of those there.
No, exactly. It's the baby steps. And sometimes when it's so many baby steps and it's this far away, I understand, right? Just a few months ago, you're talking about those guys in that room. Well, you saw Connor McDavid's speech. That's the level of zoned in they were, right? For like that whole time. Like I was at Game 7. Everybody else was on the beach, even players. There was more players and fans that I ran into that that their seasons were over. The Oilers went right there, so much anxiety and tension. And I can totally see how going into Columbus in October and, just in the back of your mind, you're not finishing those hits the same. I totally get it. But like I've said, like you just said, this is definitely a time to step up. And I really, really do think like great teams rally around. You take a team like Chicago. It was a little bit early last year with Bedard. They weren't going to make the playoffs anyway. He got hurt for a little bit. It wasn't this team cry for, what are we going to do now? Because they're in a different time. They have a superstar, but they're in a different time. Right now, the team that's built, like Dave said, the Leafs aren't in on Lilligan right now because they don't think he's going to help them win right away, right? So that's what the Oilers, and the Oilers have that squad. So they have guys that know the difference. They have a deep team, and I think it's just to correct things on paper and give it a little tweak to the old frontal lobe, which, again, are very doable things. And this could be, and has been in the past for other teams, a real unifier that brings everybody together.
Jason Gregor, Terry on with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. A few more texts in our email inbox, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, why does no one stick up for McDavid on the team? Well, what are you referencing? Like last night? That's not a play that Werenski is not an aggressive player. Like kind of stepped on his stick. I thought it should have been a minor penalty for tripping. I would agree with that, but that's not a play. Like he falls down, guys. That's not a play that you jump a guy after. I think the one thing the Oilers, I'll give him credit. Well, it's Corey Perry and a few others. Nurse did it. Like they've at least shown a willingness to fight if they feel their teammates wrong. They're just not initiating physicality, right? They're not initiating much physically. But if they feel like someone's trying to take advantage of them, they'll go after. I haven't seen McDavid really, been getting taken liberties on this year. Have you?
Me? No. I thought, I didn't think there was anything whatsoever malicious about that play that he got hurt on. And here's the other thing. They've been in such a funk, and some of them. Now, McDavid's ice is gone. So it's one thing to talk about Philp and Henrique, but a guy like Hyman, like one of these guys is going to really bust out. And it's going to be a huge event. If Hyman scores, that's going to be huge. It's going to be massive for the team. There's a lot of them that aren't quite pulling, I know Draisaitl's starting to turn it. One of these guys, Henrique, might get a hat trick. Like one of these guys is going to have to, if the team has any success, really bust out of a funk. And I'm including Nuge. I know he kind of did, but he could have a real big game here coming up. One of them have to. If the Oilers win without McDavid, being if it's only one game, one of those guys who haven't stepped up is going to have to. Otherwise, it can't happen. So I really do. It's one thing to like be in game 50 when this happens. But we're at the beginning of the year where a lot of guys need to break out and start pulling their weight through no fault of their own. They've been unlucky or whatever. I guess some fault of their own. But, like I said, I keep looking at Hyman. I know he hasn't played the absolute to the peak of his ability, but he should have a goal. And this might do it,
Oh God, he should have a few of them. Like he's had some good chances and
chances.
Hasn't been able to finish it all. I'm sure if you asked him, his shot placement hasn't been where he would like it this season. No question. Jason Strudwick will join us. We'll talk about, we've talked a lot about the lack of offense last night. What about the defensive coverage? Like outside of the second goal? Because to me, the second goal, that's on Skinner. There's no reason why to come off the post there. None. It's just, you just hold your ground. I'm going to beat you short side. But some of the other goals, we'll discuss those with Struds next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in. It's the Matthew Garon Lottery and Lotto Max today. 32 million at PlayAlberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. your love for the game, and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
New Jizz Nuggets. This is New Jizz Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of New Jizz Nuggets.
Saving you more at The Brick. Save up to 25% off furniture, including sofas, sectionals, dining, and bedroom furniture. Save up to $500 off big screen TVs and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, when you buy more, you save more with deals on Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire appliances. And if you find a lower price before the end of the year, they'll refund the difference, including Black Friday and Boxing Day. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
With harvest wrapping up, it's time to move on to some other projects around the farm. Lyman rents and sells high-speed tillage equipment. New or used, we have discs and heavy harrows to suit every farm's needs. Have a project that needs to be cleaned up and hauled away? Lyman also sells and rents utility trailers, tilts, dumps, enclosed, even sled decks for this winter. We have what you need to help get the job done. So visit us in Nisku, Fairview, Lethbridge, or Medicine Hat, or online at flyman.com. Are you ready? If you're a member of Vision Credit Union, it's time to get your share of the profits. Join us at your local branch on Friday, November 8th for Member Appreciation Day. We'll be returning $26.7 million in profit shares to our members via account deposit or check. If you're a Vision member, get ready to enjoy your annual cash payout. Not a member? Find out how to get your share of the profits with Vision Credit Union. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks for listening and watching the show, sports1440.ca. Some of you on the app. We always get texts every day. Hey, Greg's on the app. So a big shout out to those driving all over the place. Some of you like it in town, you're down the road, wherever, out of the province. You can get the app. If you don't have it, do it now. Radio player app, Stingray, even iHeartRadio. Pick your one, and you can take it wherever you go, which is fantastic. As let's Get to our big guest of the day now. Brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca as it is time for Struds On.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea. It is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you hand me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. I mean, you need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
Jason Strudwick joins us. Struddy, how you doing?
Good. What's up today, boys?
Oh, there's lots going on, man. Lots happening. For a guy who, you know what, hey, you spent a long time in the NHL, but I'm sure you saw a lot of, former junior teammates of yours, guys who are on that cusp. They're in the NHL for a bit, then they're back down, then they're in the NHL up and down. You see Drake Caggiula, who has played 22 NHL games in the last 4 seasons and hasn't played one since March of 23, gets recalled today, and looks like his NHL dream's going to continue again.
It's hard, he had some success in the NHL, and then, you're wondering, okay, am I going to get another chance? And you get your chance, do you make the most of it? So I think it's going to be a very desperate Drake Caggiula, and you could make the case that he deserved to be here out of training camp.
Yep.
Unfortunately, oftentimes the way things go in the NHL has nothing to do with how you played. It's sometimes the contracts and salary cap issues and all that stuff. But he earned this call-up, right? He's leading the team in scoring, the way he played in training camp. So he comes up here, and he's got to do what he can to bring energy to this lineup. He's not replacing Connor, no one is, but he can bring energy. I definitely think being physical should be added near the top of his to-do list. And then they'll try to just bring energy to a lineup that is going to need something.
Yeah, very true. We've talked a lot about the offense. Everybody knows they need a lot more. They're worst forward scorers in the NHL, the worst scoring team in the National Hockey League, 3 first-period goals. We go down the list, and a fun little number I dug up from last year's Struds. Teams who win games when they only score 2 goals or less, and you win by having that many goals, it's 8%. It happened 117 games out of 1,312. It's not a recipe for success when you're averaging 2 goals a game to win. Now, that being said, last night, the second goal, Skinner's got to stop. I thought it was awful. But there was some defensive breakdowns in some of the other goals, Struddy, where there was 3 or 4 he had no chance on. Take me through the first goal on the penalty kill where Nurse comes out and there's already a winger up high, but he comes out and is kind of in no man's land and just allows a stick check. Or is that the right play as the defender on that side of the penalty kill? I thought he got too high, but you've killed more penalties than me.
Yeah. So, I think when the Oilers get in trouble defensively, I find they do a lot of other people's jobs. The number one rule about being in the NHL is you just do your own job. Do your job. If I'm out there with you and let's say TR and I don't do my job, that's my problem. But if you come over to do my job and now the puck goes to where you're supposed to be, now that's your problem. And a lot of it comes down to trust. The penalty kill right now, it is very, very different than it was from last year. Last year, everyone was doing their jobs. Each other allowed each other to do their jobs. But now there's more often than not, there's duplication. There's puck watching or puck, facing the puck, not looking around. And that bleeds into their 5-on-5 goals against. Like you think of Monahan's last goal against, Emerson is watching the puck. It goes off the backboards. Monahan literally taps it in. That's probably the easiest goal he scored of his 200 or 300 AHL goals, right? So it's like a disease that goes through the group. Do your own job and do it perfectly well. If there's a problem with someone else, the coach will deal with it. Do not do someone else and duplicate. And I think the duplication is really, really a big problem for teams that are struggling.
TR?
Struddy, it's only 10 games in for most teams-ish. Do you see any teams making the playoffs that you really had kind of written off at the beginning of the season?
Well, I'm looking at two, and I think Winnipeg has definitely surprised me. And like we knew the goaltending, but they lost some pretty decent players. But both on forward and D, and then what they are, they're playing as a team. They're really doing well, and I think the anchor of that team, guys, is that third line. I look at that third line led by their captain, Adam Lowry. They can definitely go 3 deep, and they can also run a fourth line out there. So I think that team surprised me. And up to a point, Carolina as well. They lost some pretty decent players as well. Whether you're looking at Gensel or Brady on the back end, like those are pretty good players, and they're still kind of bringing the same mentality, right? We play the same way. Whether you're first liner, fourth liner, we apply pressure, we play on our toes, and we're just going to work you and outshoot you all night long.
No, I totally agree. But they've surprised me as well, which is funny because every other year I've gone almost all in on Winnipeg having some success. What coaches do you think are on the hot seat so far, if any?
It's 10 games in, right? I don't think his seat is hot, but it's definitely constantly uncomfortable, and that'd be Craig Berube. Now, they had a big win last night when they beat Winnipeg, obviously snapping their winning streak. But they've lost 3 previous to that, including to Columbus, which Oilers did as well. So, there the media is so intense, and I do think that group there is going to have they're going to fight, not literally fight him, but they're going to challenge Berube in ways to make them understand that there's a simple play to be made sometimes, and you don't have to. Not everything has to be a highlight reel goal. I keep saying this. When I go back and watch Florida, they won the Stanley Cup. You'd be hard-pressed to find one Instagram-worthy goal that you'd say, look at the amazing skill. But they always put the puck behind the D-men. They always, drove it hard outside of their blue line into the offensive zone. And I think that is the style that Craig Berube wants them to play. It doesn't mean unskilled. It's just risk versus reward. And there are times when you're in the offensive zone and you're carrying the puck through over the blue line where, what's the real reward? Even if I beat the guy with an incredible move, what's the reward on the other side? Good teams, probably another layer, right? Another layer of defense or another layer of forwards there. So chipping it behind that guy and going to get it. And I think it was against Columbus where Nylander got caught high just inside the blue line and tried to dangle a guy. He was the last guy back. It turned into a 2-on-1. Why? What is the reward in that one? And people say you don't like skill. I love skill. I love skill in safer areas where the risk is worth the reward. And in that case, it definitely is. And so I think, again, not on the hot seat, but I think there's a lot of pressure there for him to deal with because those guys aren't going to change easy, boys. They're not going to change easy.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can show up in the playoffs because that's really been their problem. They can defend everything in the regular season, but come playoff time, they haven't been able to elevate their game. Struddy, Noah Philp and Drake Caggiula come up. I'm assuming you're calling up both. You're going into LTIR now. They're both going to play. So McDavid's out of the lineup. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Henrique, Skinner, Arvidsson, or do you have Nugent Hopkins on the wing, Henrique on center? What do you do?
Well, they've got some options, right? So, I guess it depends what you want to do with your third lines. I would still like to see Skinner, Arvidsson, and Draisaitl get a real shot at this thing. So I would probably start with those 3 guys. And then I put Hyman with Nuge. And then this is where it gets a little trickier, right? Does Paul Colton get there? I had a hard time seeing Drake Caggiula getting there. Maybe it's Henrique up there, and then maybe Phil gets your third line center with Brown and the janitor, and then Derek Ryan and company. After that, it's not easy, but I think they got to find a way to get some offense going here. I'm looking at Hyman, I'm looking at Nuge, I'm looking at Henrique for that matter. To get them, those 3 guys get going. So I'd probably look at something like that where I have Draisaitl, Nuge, there's a Philp, or maybe Henrique is that third center, but maybe Henrique moves up just to give you a little more punch in that top 6.
So then which forward's coming out of the lineup? Because we know McDavid's out. So who of your bottom 6? There's Podkolzin, Brown, Janmark, Henrique, Ryan, Perry. Who comes out for you?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of Perry or Ryan, but it depends.
Oh, to me, it's got to be Derek.
Depends what you do.
Yeah, it's got to be Derek Ryan then. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what you do with the centers, right? So if Ryan's coming out, then who are your centers? Phillips centers the fourth line.
Yeah,
and then you got Henrik, Nuge, and Draisaitl up there.
Yep.
Yeah, so then that changes your lines a little bit, but I could live with that. I mean, I think a little bit more. I think Caggiula's going to bring a lot of energy and pace, and I think Phillips going to bring a bigger body to a little more pace as well. So I could see that. Now, who do you surround Philp with? If he's a fourth line center, it's obviously Perry, and then
Drake
Caggiula. The other guy? Is it Drake Caggiula?
Yeah, Drake Caggiula, Philp, and Perry, right? And then you have Henrik, Janmark, and Brown stay together. You can go Nuge and Hopkins with Hyman and Podkolzin if you like, and then you have your Draisaitl, Skinner, Arvidsson, or they just go Draisaitl with Hyman. And because they still think Hyman's their best, most productive scorer. And, maybe you put Jeff Skinner there. Maybe you put Podkolzin on that line and have Nugent Hopkins with Arvidsson and Skinner. We'll see. But they might keep Draisaitl and Arvidsson together. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, like that. No one's really played great. Like of the top six, no one. So it's. I can't say to you, okay, let's put A with B and C because A's on fire and he's going to let those guys up. Like they've all kind of had moments, I suppose. In maybe. I think Hyman's it's gonna come eventually. He's getting chances, but they're gonna need some of these guys to kind of get themselves offensively scoring, and then that would take some pressure off the rest of their game because the specialty teams right now are not helping. And that was definitely not the case in the previous season when they were really rolling. And that was many times the penalty kill was the deciding factor in games, which it has been the deciding factor in a negative way this year, Greg.
Oh God. Yeah. It's been awful. They're penalty like that. The Derek Ryan takes the 4-minute minor, then he comes out of the box. Their penalty kill is dead tired and he can't clear the puck twice. And then they eventually score.
Yeah.
That was a brutal one.
Yeah. There's this guy, this coach Knobloch has to figure out quite a few stuff. He's got to figure out the new lines without McDavid. He's got to figure out the power play and the penalty kill. And that's probably where you start. And then you hope that these new lines can get a little more offense going without the most offensively gifted player on the planet. And hopefully it's not super long. Maybe it's a week, 2 weeks. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. And then the guys can get some going. But I'll say this. Last year, a coaching change was the catalyst for a change for this team, woke them up or snapped them out of it, whatever you want to use. Maybe this is something that wakes them up from their slumber. Because I do feel that they're in a fog or whatever you want to call it from the run they had last year. And not hungover. I don't like that term, but whatever it is, they have not committed to this year, are not, 100% ready to rumble this year. And maybe this is the thing. They're like, okay, boys, we better get going here because we don't have 97 to have a big night to win us a game every now and then.
DR.
Struds, let's just say we got a time machine and we go right now to the very last day of the season. Who's got more points, the Oilers or the Leafs?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think that the Leafs, Greg, you made the good point. Like, it matters what they do in the playoffs, and I truly believe that. So I think Craig Berube is going to have his team play the way, or try to get them playing the way he wants them to play, even if at times it means he knows they're going to lose. And that doesn't mean he's coaching to lose, but he needs them to take the risk out of the game when needless risk. And he'll be stubborn about it and make it happen. Now, they had a good game last night, and they got it going. Whereas the Oilers, I think it's about getting going and getting started. I do think they'll get themselves up and running and playing like they can, but losing Connor hurts. Ultimately, I think the Oilers, they're able to get more points, but they never make it easy on themselves. Like, when have we ever seen this team do things the easy way? I don't think they've ever done it the easy way, whether it's, winning, after coming back from series on the road, or just the way they play, or even to start when this group's kind of started, just the way they didn't always manage the puck that well. Like, they don't do things the easy way. So why would we expect anything different this season?
Yeah, no, that is valid. I do want to ask you, Struddy, about, the Oilers, they're in a fog, but their biggest fog is their inability to finish. And I know, it's luck. It's all luck. And I strongly disagree with it. That's like saying it's only luck if you defend well, or your goalie only gets lucky to make saves. Scoring, is there some luck involved at times? 100%. But when I look at their inability to score, what do you see as some of the main reasons? Like their shot placement to me has been awful. Like Strider, they have hit guys in the chest more than you used to hit outlet passes in the shin pads, right? It's pretty similar right now.
Yeah. So I do think that there is a bit of luck, but it's also confidence and then a habit. Like I always loved it when my coach would identify an area we struggled in, whether it's defensive zone coverage or not being physical or competing for pucks. And he'd run a few practices that were all about that. We'd also see when we weren't getting enough shots at the net and or we weren't scoring. He'd put you in situations where the goalies would hate it because they were getting just plunked with pucks all night long. But that's what you need to do. You need to get those reps in there and get them feeling it and seeing like, I got to get pucks to the net. And I think it's getting better now, but I thought earlier in the season, they were looking a lot of shots off that were there. And when you're not feeling good, you don't aim for a keyhole. You aim for like a window and just shoot at that window, hope it goes in and try to get an ugly one by going to the net. Because Zach Hyman's had a lot of chances. They're either for sure hasn't scored on one. He's snake bitten. He's not. His confidence has got to be low. So he's got to find a way before, after practice, in practice, to keep getting pucks, and then you start feeling it again. So you know, like ask Zach Hyman to do something different. He is going to the net, but he's not scoring. So you got to feel it in practice. I think I truly feel that is the way out of a scoring slump. And TR, you know more than I, but I've seen it. There's no other way. You can't just wish and hope. You know, kisses and good hugs.
I know, I hear you. Like there's a level of visualization people talk about, but you visualize yourself doing something is what you got to actually be doing it. I know. I'm with you. I think you can't make yourself go out there and score a goal. You can make yourself go out there and hit and play hard, and you can make yourself work damn hard in practice, right? You can really do that. And I think that goes for whatever sport, whatever Aaron Judge is doing now. You got to take some swings there, big boy, before the game, like something's not right. And I just think that's the way out of it for most athletes, elite or not. You know, you got to get reps in.
Yeah, who knows? Give him another goalie and just let him light him up in practice or something. Just say, hey, whoever's not starting on Thursday, I want you to get lit up in practice for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Bring out who is our buddy there? Is it Brad Germain? Bring him out there. He never goes down. He doesn't bend. He doesn't know what the butterfly is. Just put him in there and let the boys pound away.
Bob Laux used to give us weighted pucks and shoot them in practice, and they had a lot of weight to them.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, who knows if that worked or not, but I liked it. Mentally, it worked for me. Seemed like I was shooting a feather after that. You know what I mean? Like little things. And just doing it as preparation in your head. You know, it's positive reinforcement that's going through your head. So maybe none of it works, but your head's in the right place. You know what I mean? And maybe there's a happy medium.
We will see. Struddy, quickly. Tracy Jr. running like a madman yesterday. That was great, but not your Giants. What happened? More of the same?
No, you know, listen, yeah, Devin Singletary is supposed to be our starter now, Tracy, and he looks pretty good, but you know, it's tough. The worst thing I think that can happen for my team is a few wins, and people think, well, we got a chance. There's not enough talent on this team.
No.
That's just clear. It's not working. So I don't want to be like I don't want to be the negative guy, but I don't want to win 7 games. And oh, you know what? We're close. No, you're not. Win the 3 games, win the 4 games, and then take a hard look at the mirror. The offensive line is still not good enough. And whether you like Danny Dimes or not, this guy is running for his life most of the time, and then makes it harder on the running backs. Right? Saquon Barkley goes over to Philly, and although he's had a few stinkers, he's got a good pretty decent line to run through or around, and he's getting chances to score, and then he's on his body. So I don't know. I honestly, I'm actually rooting for them to lose every night, just so you have to take a hard look and say, this isn't good enough. And I read all the veterans, we believe in each other. Well, what do you believe in? You got 2 wins. I think just 2.
Whoa. Hey, Struddy, wait a sec. A lot of we believe in each other. That sounds very similar to a Jason Strudwick circa 2009, 2010 in Edmonton.
Yeah, well, I believed in it, but doesn't mean what I'm saying is what I actually thought. I mean, you got to look around the room sometimes and just see where you're at. I mean, like,
so those guys are probably
honest.
they're saying it's Struds, but they ain't believing it. That's what you're saying.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, I just don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy to be that team that wins 7-8 games. I think that's a really dangerous space to be in the NFL. Now, if you've been in the tank for a while and now you're trending in the right direction, that's great. But they made the playoffs 2 years ago and they won a game. And then last year it got terrible. So are we that good, or is it just a bad year, or just bad 2 years? I think we already know the answer, Greg.
Yeah, it's very true, Struddy. Very true. Have a good day, buddy. We'll be watching with interest the orders Thursday. Caggiula, Noah Philp, NHL debut, and McDavid not playing. And how will the Oilers respond? The good news is, Struddy, it's against a team that they almost beat for fun. So maybe that'll give them some confidence going into the building. They just won in exactly 2 weeks ago on Thursday. So we will chat with you next Tuesday. Have a great day.
Looking forward to it, guys. Have a good one.
There you go. That's Jason Strudwick and Struds on. Brought to you by our good friends at Silent Rides Charter Company. When we come back, it is 5 questions on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
I'm Nugent Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an HVAC technician.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to install furnaces. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Orangesicle, the Marathon, and the Original, made with oranges, bananas, strawberries, strawberry sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
Are you ready? If you're a member of Vision Credit Union, it's time to get your share of the profits. Join us at your local branch on Friday, November 8th for Member Appreciation Day. We'll be returning $26.7 million in profit shares to our members via account deposit or check. If you're a Vision member, get ready to enjoy your annual cash payout. Not a member? Find out how to get your share of the profits with Vision Credit Union. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
447. It's an underrated song, man. Underrated song on a lovely Tuesday afternoon. How are you doing, Gregor, Halley, Ryan, Sports 1440? Remember, it's Lotto Max, $32 million today. Get your tickets at playalberta.ca. And if that's not your thing, you want to try some World Series, the Yankees are going to get swept. Use a promo code Gregor50. Don't waste it at playalberta.ca. As we get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Get your home ready for the upcoming holiday season. You can save up to 25% off all furniture. Oh, get that couch, send the in-laws out there. Oh, there's a couch. We put a sheet on it. Have a good sleep. Courtesy of The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. Clearly, McDavid going to miss some time for the Oilers, and we know that Caggiula and Philip got the call up. If it was your decision, who would have you called up, and what kind of moves you think we see in the lineup Thursday, when it comes to the lines?
Oh, those are the 2 obvious choices. There's no one else. I know some people said, what about Matt Savoy? He's not NHL ready. Great Caggiula and Noah Philp. Caggiula is going to try to add some bite to your game, which is what Savoy doesn't bring. He's not NHL ready. And Philp's a center iceman. So to me, those are the 2 obvious ones. I think they're the right calls.
Yeah. I haven't seen literally anything in the minors. I just saw numbers. I was really impressed with Philp in camp. And when you get Caggiula, he's got NHL experience and he does all the right things that I think could matter for an insert into the lineup. And I think Henrik got a lot to give, and I'd probably toss him up on the second line and get him out of the funk.
Question number 2. Are we going to see a clean sweep in the World Series tonight, or do you think the Yankees take this back to Los Angeles?
No, I think the Yankees are. I'm hoping for that. I've bet on that. And I just think they're a better team than to get swept. I really do. Dodgers are awesome, but so are the Yankees. I think the Dodgers get the nod in the pitching department, but, game 1 could have been the Yanks. And these guys, I hope, for Aaron Judge's sake, because I really like the guy. He seems like an athlete that gives back, loves his job. Power slugger, defines a generation. But come on. I mean, this goes back. He's slumping, to say the least. And I just love to see good guys get ahead. And I'd like to see at least it go back to LA and at least Judge have a big game, one big game.
Yeah, well, man, he's got to find something because he can't get a hit to save his life. No. And the Dodgers, how are you going to stop Freeman? Are you going to intentionally walk him every time? That might be their only hope because Fast Freddie Freeman is on fire right now. So I'm going to stick with the Dodgers. And sweep-a-rama. I think it might be the longest. I think I read the stat. It's the longest time between sweeps. The last sweep in MLB was 2011. So you can say someone's due. So I'm going to say, hurry hard out of the World Series for the Yankees.
Question number 3. Baltimore Ravens bringing in Deontay Johnson from the Carolina Panthers today. I know last week we saw DeAndre Hopkins go to the Chiefs. So you're starting to see some teams in the AFC load up. Right now, who would be your top 3 teams in this conference?
Go ahead, TR.
Well, I had Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, right to start, and I like this. I like the Russell Wilson story. We're still only talking about a couple of games here. Denver, I'm going to go with them. I'm going to keep it right where it is. Each team has given me no reason, no major one anyway, to change my line of thinking. So I'm going to go with Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
Well, Chiefs are number 1 for sure. I'm going to go the Houston Texans. Now, the Diggs injury is big for them. Are they going to go out now and try to get a receiver? We'll see. But the Houston Texans, man, I like them a lot. And, CJ Stroud's only in his 2nd season, and there's people are just, he'll figure it out. They'll do what he has to without Diggs, and they're probably right. And I'm actually going to go with the Steelers. Their defense is that good. And Russell Wilson has thrown the ball really well when he's come in this year, which is kind of surprising to me. It's been a long time since we've seen that. But is there an organization in pro sports that is more consistently competitive than the Pittsburgh Steelers? They're always competitive. Just people thought, oh, this is the year they're going to go back. No, now they're 6-2. So I'm going with the Steel.
Mike Tomlin and an OK team will make the playoffs every year. He's always getting it done. Question number 4 for you guys. The PWHL apparently looking to add 2 expansion teams next season. Which markets do you think should get a team joining Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Minnesota, Boston, and New York?
Oh, for me, I love that there's teams in those markets, and it's awesome that you can go see an NHL game or a PWHL game. But I'd give it to a team that's wanted in a place like Hamilton, Quebec City. I don't know, not Oklahoma City, but there's places out but there's places out there that don't have an NHL team that I think are starving for some top-notch competition. And I think those are the markets. If I was the PWHL, I'd be trying to go after. And all this talk every year, Hamilton aren't going to get an NHL team. They just aren't going to do it. It would have happened by now. I would definitely give that opportunity to a female top-notch team. And not only that, this is the time to do it. They're expanding. Soon enough, there'll be all kinds of Europeans coming over to play. I think you're at the precipice of something huge. And why not give it to these cities that beg for a top-tier team but don't get one?
That is a really smart answer, TR. Honestly, I think Halifax makes a lot of sense.
Halifax, yeah.
Right? And Halifax makes a lot of sense. Hamilton would make a lot of sense. It's definitely going to be East. They're going to keep it close right now. I'm going to say they're going to go I think it's going to, my gut tells me it's going to be both in the US.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Philadelphia and Detroit.
All right. Final question for you today. We're getting closer to Halloween. So at this stage of your life, not talking about when you're a kid, but now, what would be the top 3 candies that you could receive at Halloween?
It's a good question, Cons. Well, I would say, even though I hand out the big bars, I don't want to eat all the big bars because, I'm not burning off the calories of the youngsters. So I'm going to say the small little 2-piece Kit Kat. Unreal, always good. I will then go with a Twix, the small little Twix. And thirdly, for me, I'm going to go with the small little red Twizzlers.
Okay. For myself, not big into sweets. And by the way, I want to clear up something because my phone blew up. I don't with the options I get. I got cashews in a bag. I got those little Fiber One bars, the Made Good bars. It's not all bananas and celery, but I'm just saying I give kids an option. And I like those things. And if I don't get rid of all the cashews, I get to eat them myself. Anyway, you asked me the top 3 ever. My go-tos would always be a good bag of chips. I'm hoping for Doritos, chocolate-covered almonds of some sort, and usually the chocolate. I don't love sweets. Any of that candy, that's for the birds. I wouldn't. It could be 1,000 sour candies. I could be starving right here on the other side of the room, and I have just as much instinct to eat this can. It doesn't even feel like food to me, which is a good thing. So nothing of those sweets or Twizzlers or none of that. But it would always. I got a place for chocolate. I love nuts, and I'm allergic to most. Chocolate, cashews, almonds I can take. I'm about a 4 out of 10. I will eat the chocolate almonds, though, just to go through an hour of close to agony because I love them so much. It would be something like that. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's good dedication. I like it. Cons, what about you? Soon to be Pops. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with TR, like a bag of chips. Variety is okay. I like it all. Not barbecue quite as much, but the rest I can pretty much deal with. I do like the sours, so Sour Patch Kids would always be top of the list. And then I'll go with a Kit Kat. Kit Kat Chunky would be nice, but I don't think you get too many of those on Halloween. So just that little Kit Kat. Yeah.
That's a good call. The Kit Kat Chunky, those are great. I have a lot. Gregor, what about Big Turk? Well, like I said, I don't want the full bar, and I know you can have Turk bites, but they rarely come in. Like you can get them in the bag. I don't want the whole bag because I'm trying to say, hey, what would be good? Because trust me, you give me a bag of Big Turk bites, I'll eat the whole bag. And it's good but it's not good for me, but I would do it. Now, luckily I don't have the pain of TR after I eat them. So that's good. I just got to, I got to get to the gym or go for a walk or do something, but it would be worth it because the Big Turk is that great. But Big Turk is it's such an established regal chocolate bar It's got to come in the full size or no thanks. It's just how it is. TR, we will talk to you on Halloween. Are you dressing up for Halloween?
Yeah, I got a few ideas in mind. I'll think of it. It'll be that morning thing. I've done the it's the actual night of Halloween isn't a big party for me. We go out the weekend before and call it Mardi Gras. We have a great time on George Street and all that, and it's been done. But I will mention next week, if anybody's going to be in the area, I'm going to post something soon. I'm going to do an event called Hockey Helps the Homeless. It's near and dear to my heart. It's in Halifax. But you can donate online. So follow me at Terry Ryan 2020 on Instagram, Terry Ryan 20 on Twitter, but most will be on Instagram. I'm going to post where, when, the link, and all that stuff. It's raising money for a great cause. So that's where I'll be next week.
All right, buddy. Well, we will chat with you on Thursday. Have a good one.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton. See you guys soon.
There you go. That's Terry Ryan, our Tuesday, Thursday co-host here on Sports 1440, the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by the Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making a couple of roster moves with the injuries to Connor McDavid, Noel and Drake Caggiula called up from the Condors. Oilers in action on Thursday, taking on the Preds. Today, though, Bruins hosting the Flyers. The Kraken meet the Montreal Canadiens. Blue is in Ottawa. Islanders take on the Ducks. Wild up against the Penguins. Caps host the Rangers. And to wrap it all up at 8 o'clock, the Kings in San Jose. Game 4 of the World Series gets going in about 1 hour, 8 minutes as the Yankees look to avoid the sweep against the Dodgers, trailing 3-0 in the association. Just 4 games tonight, and that's host the Nuggets, Mavs in Minnesota, Jazz taking on the Kings, and the Pelicans meet the Warriors. From the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens acquiring wide receiver DeAndre Johnson from the Carolina Panthers. Ravens sending a 5th-round pick to Carolina for Johnson and the team's 6th-round selection. The Houston Texans announcing today that wide receiver Stephon Diggs suffered a torn ACL in the team's win over the Colts on Sunday. He'll miss the remaining games on the schedule, and the Indianapolis Colts benching quarterback Anthony Richardson, turning to the vet Joe Flacco. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Derek Van Diest from NHL.com and TSN's Dave Naylor. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Saving you more at the Brick. Save up to 20% off furniture, including sofas, sectionals, dining, and bedroom furniture. Save up to $500 off big screen TVs and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, when you buy more, you save more with deals on Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire appliances. And if you find a lower price before the end of the year, they'll refund the difference, including Black Friday and Boxing Day. Some exclusions apply. See more details. The Brick. Saving you more.
You've probably heard the term supply and demand. Something is needed and someone supplies it. We're GS Construction, and we're in the supply and demand business with you. Edmonton and the surrounding area continue to grow. Infrastructure has to be continually replaced and upgraded to keep up with demand. You see it with new buildings and new roads, but what about below ground, where all sorts of pipes bring you water and take wastewater away? That's where we come in. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep, unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
You made it through another work day. Congratulations. Good for you. Make your way home. Drive safe. Turn up Sports 1440 and just relax. Lots of sports to discuss on the program today. There is an elimination game in the World Series. I don't know if people thought it'd be this early, but here we are in Game 4. The LA Dodgers trying to capture their 8th World Series. The Yankees, they're going to try to do what the Boston Red Sox did to them about 20 years ago and overcome a 3-0 deficit. Good luck. If you go to playalberta.ca, bet the Yankees will win the series right now. You get really good odds. Low chance, but really good odds at playalberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you get your free play here in the month of October. You got 3 days left. Use it wisely. Now, let's get to the DVD report. Brought to you by GS Construction. They are the unheralded construction people, the underground infrastructure that is uber important to keeping us moving. You might not even think about it. Running water, flush toilets, think GS Construction. As Derek Van Diest from NHL.com covers the orders, the Flames, the Jets, Ducks, joins us in DVD. Of course, bad news for the orders. Connor McDavid is out at least for one game. We'll probably get an official word on how long tomorrow. They're doing more tests. They went through more tests today. And they also have recalled Noah Philp and Drake Caggiula. They will join the team in Nashville. For Noah Philp, it would be his NHL debut. For Drake Caggiula, it will be his first game in the NHL since March of 2023. So over a year and a half time, he grinds it out and gets back to where he ultimately wants to be. What do you make of, I guess let's start of Caggiula and Philp, and what do you make of them? And with McDavid coming out, one other forward has to come out. Who do you think is going to be the other forward out of the lineup?
Well, that's a good question. I think it'll be probably Derek Ryan. I think maybe Noah Phelps moves into that spot in the middle, just to give a bit more energy, a bit more juice, a bit more. The Oilers are looking so slow this year, Jason. It just looks like every team looks so much faster than they do. And the Oilers did get slower. They did get older. They've got some veteran players. They're the oldest team on average in the National Hockey League now. But they just got a lot slower with the guys that left, and they some really good skaters left in McLeod and Fogle and Broberg and Holloway. Like those are 4 guys that can get up and down the ice, and so we pull all 4 of those guys out of your lineup. Suddenly you become a little slower. So that's what I think is going to happen. But right now, this is going to be a good test for the Oilers, for the rest of the team, because there's going to be a point. McDavid obviously was hurt last year. He missed a couple of games last year, and you could make an argument that he probably played hurt most of the year. But now this is a situation where, okay, whether he's out week to week or it's even more serious than that, just looking at it, I'm no doctor, but just looking at it, that looks like a sprain to me or some sort of ligament damage. I don't think he broke it, because if he had broken it, he would have probably stayed on the ice. I don't think he would have been able to get up and skate off. But yeah, it's going to be a situation now where the Oilers, the rest of the gang, like they have a good core support group. And we've been talking about their depth this year and how deep they are compared to years past. Well, now this is a test for that depth to kind of show up and to carry this team for a little bit with their captain out injured. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think these 2 guys, Caggiula and Phelps, come in here and maybe add a little bit to the team's speed and get him a little quicker. Because right now, to me, through the 8 games, or 9 games, whatever it's been, they just look slow. They look like a very slow hockey club.
Yeah, see. To me, if they look slow, why are they out shooting everybody by a mile? Like they have the puck a lot. I find the bigger issue for me is I think they move the puck well. They're not going to win a lot of foot races, but it hasn't really cost them. Their puck possession isn't a problem. It's their puck finish, which to me is a big problem. And then just some of their defensive errors, as Struddy talked about. It goes, when you have D-men or forwards, it goes, the number 1 rule in the NHL, do your job. The minute you start worrying about and trying to help others do their job, and I get you might think your intentions are in the right place, but they're not. Just stick to doing your job, because once you run out of position, then it opens up even more, and then you got 2 guys out of position, and we've seen that on a few goals last night where I thought that there was guys that were trying to do way too much. Nurse going way too far ahead on that penalty kill, leaves the guy open, easy deflection. You look at on the 4th goal, not getting out multiple times, and puck watching on the 5th. And like when the goal guy goes into the corner, as Landon Ferraro said, he goes, there's only 2 things he can do. He can put it behind the net, or he tries to funnel it through the slot, and went through everybody because no one's paying attention. Then it's a wide open net backside, first goal in his NHL career. So it was an ugly game. Ultimately, it started ugly with the McDavid injury and then got worse. What's your sense of how the team reacts to the McDavid injury? Is this something that, like, the coaching change jolted them out of their funk? Does this jolt them out of their offensive funk?
Well, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think that Zach Hyman now kind of picks it up. He's been all around the net, just hasn't been able to finish. I think Leon Draisaitl picks it up a little bit, but I think you need guys like Adam Henrique. You need guys like Jeff Skinner. You need guys like Arvidsson. You need Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to wake up a little bit here. You need those guys to kind of start pulling their weight here. And I think maybe when your leader goes down, your captain goes down, everyone has to play a little better. Like, you're not going to replace McDavid. There isn't one guy going to step in and replace McDavid. So you have to replace him in the aggregate, I guess, is what you have to do. And maybe that's what the Oilers need to do here. And yeah, they're out shooting teams. You can say that, but it's just they don't have the same dominance. I think the one game that they were dominant was against Pittsburgh, and then we watched that game and go, okay, this is what we were expecting out of the Oilers this year. They only won 4-0 because he ran into a pretty good goalie. But the only, that was the game that, okay, this is the game that we expect the Oilers to play every night. They weren't bad in Detroit. They came back and played well in Detroit, won that game. They were awful the other night. Will be interesting to see what happens in Nashville. Leon Draisaitl eats up the Predators traditionally, so maybe he'll have a big game. But yeah, this is time for other players to they're going to get a bit more ice time now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the power play, where the power play is more evened out as opposed to 145 and 15. Maybe it'll be more like 115 and 45, or split it evenly. Maybe some other guys will get power play opportunity. But this is time for those guys that were brought in, the guys that were supposed to be role players, to kind of get going and get moving. And I think it starts with Zach Hyman. He's got to get off the schneid, and then you got to look at guys like Skinner, look at guys like Arvidsson, who I think he's playing really well. I like his game a lot. He's like a dog on a bone. And look at guys like Henrique. Hey, you guys got to come here. We got to start contributing offensively, because right now the Oilers aren't getting much offensively from those guys, and they were brought in to do that.
Yeah, no. They definitely they need a lot more offense from their guys tonight. There's no doubt, or not tonight, but on Thursday, no doubt about it. The one saving grace is that, in the Pacific Division, Vancouver's struggling. Calgary's back to reality with 3 straight losses. Outside of Vegas, there's, the Oilers are 4-5-1, and by far are really out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, McDavid, if it's shorter term, you know what? Go 500, maybe win one more game. Then, like, if he misses 4, go like 2-1-1, and you know what? Then you're fine. But the key is, to me, that Nashville game, and more so the start of that game, because starts for this team this year have not been good enough at all.
Well, you can't chase the game every game. Like, you can't be behind every game and be forced to chase it. Like, that's taxing, and that's tough. And this team, for whatever reason, why do their backs always have to be against the wall before they get going? Why can't they play on the front foot? Like, why they always have to be in a situation where, okay, now guys, okay, we got to get it going here. And somehow they got to change that routine. You got to get off to better starts. You got to play with the lead and build on that, as opposed to always chasing the game. And it's tough to chase the game, especially nowadays. Teams are better defensively. The goalies are better. You're not guaranteed to come back. So I think, the starts have to be better. So whatever the pregame routine is, it's not working. So figure out something else. Try and do something else, because it's not working right now. And maybe you got to go out there and, put out the fourth line and let them bang around a little bit and see if they can get some energy that way, or whatever. Do something to kind of spark this team. And I think last night, the first shift, your captain goes down. You're not sure what's going on. He limps off the bench. He limps off to the room. And then there's obviously that insecurity is like, what's happening? Is he coming back? Is he going to be okay? And then obviously they couldn't get over that. They couldn't get through that. And Columbus exploited that. But I think, right now, you got to figure that out. And I think that's internal, Jason. I don't know. Everyone has their own little pregame routines and gets ready for games. And, some guys get pumped up. Some guys have to kind of be quieted down. Everyone has their own internal thing. But you got to come out, and when the puck is dropped, you got to be ready to play. And the Oilers, for whatever reason, it takes them 5-10 minutes to kind of get into games. And sometimes that's too late. Sometimes you're too far behind to kind of come back and do something about it. So I agree with you 100% there. Get into the game, start when the puck drops, and find that intensity right away.
Derek Van Diest from NHL.com joins us. Derek, the Jets streak ended last night, and now they will travel to Detroit. They got a day off. You weren't going to win all the time, but man, Kyle Connor had another 4 points. And the Jets offense right now is absolutely humming. It was a rare night where they got lit up defensively for them, but man, their offense right now, they got 5 guys double digits in points already, 2 defensemen in Pionk and Morrissey. And, their top guys are rolling. Their third line guys all got 7 points. Like, man, the Jets right now look really good.
They do, and I've said this for the last couple of years. Obviously, the Jets have the best goalie in the league. They have one of the best defensemen in the league in Morrissey, and I do think that they have the basically the most how do I put this? The most well-rounded forward group. I guess there's not a bigger drop off from the first line to the fourth line, and I think they really like to roll those lines, and they really do a good job of rolling those lines. And when they do, they're just relentless on you. They just keep coming. There's no drop off when you're playing. Like, you're playing another team and you finally see their fourth line. You go, okay, we can take it. We can breathe a little bit. These guys are just going to try to get out there and not get scored on. But no, the Jets just keep coming. They keep coming. I like Cole Perfetti's game. I think he's really coming around. I wasn't sure how those negotiations would affect him. That's the first time he went through that. We talked about that when he was here, and he's like, hey, it's the business side of the game. First time I went through it, I was ready to go. I wanted to go, and they had to get this thing ready. But he's kind of catching fire now. You're right. Kyle Connor's playing well. Scheifele's playing well. They got it all going now. And I think, they didn't play well the other night against Toronto. Toronto looked really good. But this is a good team. And I've been saying that this is a good team. And then the knock on the Jets, obviously, is they're a great regular season team. Come the playoffs, they don't show up. And I think they learned something from last season. The playoffs were over before it really got started for them. They were out in 5 games and it was over. Hellebuyck had a terrible playoff series, but you learn from that. And I think this is a team that I don't think this is an anomaly. I don't think this is a team that you don't win 8 in a row by luck. Okay, you win 4 in a row, 5 in a row by luck, maybe. You don't win 8 in a row by luck. And I think this team's going to be there, and they're going to be a tough team to catch. So, yeah, I really like this team. I've liked this team for a long time. I think Kevin Cheveldayoff has done a fantastic job in Winnipeg with guys that they always have guys that want out. They always have guys that want out, and somehow they managed to get a great return for those guys. And I think they've done a great job there in Winnipeg, and they have this really cohesive unit where, like, it's us against the world because no one wants to play in Winnipeg. We're the only ones who want to play here, and I think right now they're doing a great job, and I think they're a very, very good team. They're going to be a good team all whole season.
How concerned are people in Vancouver about Elias Pettersson, and how concerned should they be?
Well, this stems back to the playoffs last year, right? Like, I don't know if you remember those "Let's Go Petey" chants in Vancouver during the Oilers playoff series? Like, really? Like, how much are you paying this guy? I don't know what's happened with him. I really don't know. And, this is a guy that was world beater, came out here. He looked like, oh, my God, this kid's going to be incredible. And then his game kind of just flatlined, and it flattened out. And I don't know what's going on with him right now. And there is got to be some concern there. And I think there's got to be some concern in Vancouver in general. I thought they overachieved last year. I think they were probably a year ahead of schedule. Like, this is the year they're supposed to be that contending team this year, next year. They have a lot of good pieces there. Obviously, injuries has hurt them. You don't have your starting goaltender. That hurts you. But yeah, it's concerning. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. There was an issue last year in the playoffs, and they're like, okay, well, let's try to get him going. And he's a better player than that. He's a better player than we're seeing. He should be a dominant player in this league. He's getting paid to be a dominant player in this league, and he just can't get off the schneid. And you got to wonder, maybe that's, this is something in effect of the playoffs last year, because he struggled so badly in the playoffs. The fans were trying to urge him on, trying to get him going, which I thought was a bit comical, to be honest, sitting there watching the fans go, "Let's go, Petey." But he's got to get going. If the Canucks are going to be a contending team, if they're going to be a good team, they need him to be a point a game guy. They need him to be a guy that is an elite offensive player, and right now he's not that.
No, God, not a shadow of himself in that regard. So
yeah.
We'll see. DVD, have yourself a great day. We will chat with you next Tuesday. Have a good week.
Sounds good. You too. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest. That was the DVD report brought to you by GS Construction. Now, when we come back, Dave Naylor on a massive, massive start of decisions for the green and gold. We'll get to that. And also tomorrow, our guest for Who Is It Wednesday, you're really going to want to be listening to tomorrow's show at 3:00. And Craig McTavish will join us at 5. I got a loaded show tomorrow. But Who Is It Wednesday guest? I'm telling you, it'll be electrifying. You'll want to listen. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
The Zero Turn Blow and Sales event is on now at the Lawnmower Hospital. Get great savings on all in-stock Zero Turn tractors from trusted brands like Toro, Country Clipper, and Hustler Turf. Backpack blowers are in stock for the leaves and fall cleanup. And of course, the snow. Our Toro snowblowers are in stock now too. Be prepared because winter will be here soon. LawnmowerHosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and we have hundreds of RVs to show you. Now, fall is not the traditional time to buy an RV, but here's a pro tip. Every used RV is a one-of-a-kind, and one of them is perfect for you. But you never know when you're going to find it.
Especially if you have a lot of must-haves and deal breakers on your wish list.
That's right, Bob. Used RV buyers are picky, looking for just the right one. I'm not saying the RVs on our lot now are any better than the ones we'll have in the spring. They're not, but they are different. The ones on our lot today will be gone by spring.
Be a shame if the perfect one got away.
That's what I'm getting at, Bob. If you find one you like, put a ring on it. No Bull makes it ridiculously easy because we'll pay for winterization, storage, and get it all ready for you next year. All you need to do is show up in the spring and it'll be ready for your first adventure. Couldn't be easy.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca. In a world where every day is a battle against time, elements, and gravity, one ally has stood strong for over 50 years. Titan Supply. In the harshest conditions, against relentless deadlines and overwhelming tasks, they equip you and help keep you working safely. Lifting, digging, or hauling. Gear up for the everyday battle with Titan Supply. Still standing strong in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Or online at titansupply.ca.
Lift, dig, haul.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This Halloween,
$525. Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. I want to quickly mention this because a good friend of our show who added one of my all-time favorite moments of my show, and I've been doing a show since 2003, I guess, since I hosted my own show here. And one of my favorite moments ever was when we had Dr. Sarah McGee on the show. You know, Struddy has his lip balm addiction, right? Like, it's crazy. And so I had convinced him that he could get dermatitis, which is a legit thing. And you can get it from, chapstick too much, and it's not healthy for your lips, yada, yada, yada. So Kathleen McGee, of course, who's a stand-up comedian, she's unbelievable at roasts. She was Dr. Sarah McGee as dermatologist on the show. And we had Struddy for 5 minutes where he was beyond rattled. Just what she talked about. And then she turned it into Struddy's infatuation with Cons. We still have that clip. God, we better have it. And we might have to play that tomorrow because Kathleen, unfortunately, has been battling cancer for a few years. She was placed in hospice today. And so in honor of that, because her husband, Adam, had just asked that, you know what? If you haven't already, tell a joke, share a laugh, keep it dark or blue, and give love freely and forgive when you can. And so in honor of Kathleen, why don't you text in some of your favorite jokes? All right. And we'll read a few of them and tomorrow on the show, I think we're going to replay Dr. Sarah McGee. Oh my God. It was 5 minutes of unbelievable comedy. Struds squirming. And we had him hook, line, sinker because he thought it was legit. It was so good. So to Kathleen, Adam, and their entire family, our thoughts go out to you. She's made a lot of us laugh many times. If you're ever at the roast, and she was usually one of the only female there roasters, and man, she'd take on all comers, and she was so funny, so witty. So our thoughts are with her and all of her friends as they go through this tough time. Now, let's talk a little football as we get to the football report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. LegacyHeating.ca. As Dave Naylor from the CFL on TSN joined us. And Dave, Rick LaLacheur yesterday in their garbage bag day mentioned how he wants to get a CEO and president in place before the Grey Cup. And usually Grey Cup week is an embargo week. Not always, but they try to avoid big announcements, at least on, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for sure. So if I look at that, that's within 2 weeks' time that they got to get that president CEO. And when I look at the state of this organization and, really the state of kind of how they've handled Trey Ford, this is a massive hiring because it's going to decide who's the president CEO, but then also who's the GM and head coach.
Yeah, it is. And I think Trey Ford's future has been the number one speculation topic around the Edmonton Elks the second half of this season. And the conversation kind of stops cold because who's making the decision? 100%. Whose call is this here? And look, and I know there's been a lot made that, well, does he want to go back and play for Jarius Jackson and G-Roy Simon after, he wasn't given the ball at certain points of the season where a lot of people thought they should have. And look, that I can't tell you that's not going to be a factor, but I think the ultimate factor is going to be what does the contract that the Elks put in front of Trey Ford, assuming there's going to be an offer, what does it look like? Does it look like the one Jake Mayer has in Calgary? Does it look like the one that the Elks gave to Taylor Cornelius 2 years ago? I mean, there's a pretty straight line between quarterback salaries in the CFL and play time. And I'll give you an example. When Ottawa signed Drew Brown in the offseason, and they also retained Jeremiah Mazzoli, and people asked me, well, who do you think is going to play? And I said, the guy who's making $350 is going to play. That's the way these things work. Now, doesn't mean you hold the job all season necessarily, but you're going to get every opportunity to keep the job when you have a salary that equates to a starting quarterback salary. So I think some of the past and who's making the decision, could play into it. But the biggest factor is what are they prepared to offer him? And if it's the best offer, again, even if he goes without testing the market, I think you could say if he gets starter money, well, that's the goal. So, but I know there have been very preliminary sort of roundabout conversations between Trey Ford's agent and the current management of the Elks. I wouldn't call it a negotiation, but they obviously talk. But how far can those conversations go until you know who's got the power to pull the trigger? And until we know who the president and CEO is, we're not going to know who the GM is.
Well, the owner's here, and I'd like to think the owner recognizes, I look around the league, Trey Ford, to me, is the best young quarterback prospect in the league. He's younger than Nathan Rourke, so that's all I'll say, the best young one. Nathan Rourke, I think, can still be better than how he's played since coming back, and it shows you what happens when you don't play. Even rust can take a while for guys. I've really been perplexed by how the Elks have viewed Trey Ford. They use the word inconsistent lots, and there's no statistical data that will show he's inconsistent. He had one bad game against Winnipeg, who had been with the best defense in the league for that stretch, right? And lots of other quarterbacks struggled mightily. I've really been perplexed in how they've handled Trey Ford, dating back to the end of last season when they were 0-8. He comes in, they're 4-6. The people are excited, and then he lost his job in the offseason and was never even given a chance to compete for the starting job. I never understood it.
Well, and go back to what I said about salaries. What did they give McLeod Bethel Thompson in the offseason? Yes. They gave him the starting quarterback salary, right? And that pretty much decided it right there. And look, is he the best young quarterback going to be on the market? Guy who hasn't been a full-time starter. There's some people in the league that would give you an argument about Davis Alexander in Montreal behind Cody Fajardo, and I believe he's a free agent as well. So I think that's one of the questions. If Trey Ford doesn't sign in Edmonton, is there another place he starts in the league? Because weirdly enough, as much as the conversations go round and round and round, well, we don't have enough quarterbacks and we always short on quarterbacks, not enough good quarterbacks. All of a sudden we got a bit of a glut. And I'm not saying great quarterbacks, but guys who have the resumes of starting quarterbacks. Bo Levi Mitchell, he's going to be a starter in next year, I would think. He led the league in passing. We think there's going to be a change in Calgary, but that's not 100% decided. We have Vernon Adams and Nathan Rourke in BC. They're not both going to be there next year. Jeremiah Mazzoli probably looking for an opportunity for play time. So, and a guy like Taylor Powell, who played a lot last year in Hamilton and played very well. And so there's lots of quarterbacks right now. That's not necessarily that someone's going to hold the door open and say, well, we got to have Trey Ford. They might, but I just think the market is a little bit different. So his best opportunity might be actually in Edmonton. And look, I understood what they did in the offseason, right? Chris Jones had a very thin margin for error and probably did not want to bank his future on a quarterback who had, limited experience starting. Again, come out of U Sport, hadn't played that much in U Sport because of COVID and things, and there's going to be a lot of variance in his play. And with McLeod Bethel-Thompson, you maybe don't get as high a ceiling as you would with Trey Ford, but you probably get a higher floor, just in what he is. And look, let's be honest, the Elks lost a ton of games in the slimmest of margins, and they weren't all on McLeod Bethel-Thompson. What I don't understand, and what I didn't understand, was once they went to Trey and got some success, and they still had an opportunity to chase the playoffs, that they went back to McLeod Bethel-Thompson. And I don't know internally what led to that decision, but from the outside, that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No,
and as you mentioned, the Winnipeg game, where like nobody was looking good against Winnipeg at that time, and ultimately, it didn't work out.
Yeah, like that. I'm still shocked by. I couldn't get an explanation. There's no rational thought process to what they were thinking there. So we'll see. Now you look around at BC, and what do you make of the Adams Rourke decision? They're going to go with Adams to start in Saskatchewan, which I can see why they're doing. But obviously, Rourke is the guy for next season, right? There's $800K there is the reason why he's the starter for next season. What have you seen that's lacking in his game since he's come back from the NFL?
That he hasn't been Nathan Rourke of 2022. Like, I don't think he's been terrible, but it's really hard for everybody, the media, the Lions, fans, to get Nathan Rourke 2022 out of their heads. And look, I see on Twitter people saying to me, wow, the media, you guys built this guy up and he was never that great. Stop, okay? Stop.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the 2022 season. He was great. And I know he missed a chunk of it because of injury, but you put that season up against almost any season in CFL history from a quarterback's statistical numbers and performance. That stands up. We didn't make that up. He was that good, okay? But, and this is where here's what I think has happened to Nathan Rourke. To this day, he's been on 5 teams in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
4 of them in another league. Okay. When the BC Lions were at training camp, he was with the Patriots. When the BC Lions were on their 5-0 streak, he was with the Giants. When the Lions started losing, he was with the Falcons. And, there was an interview Farhan Lalji did with him about 2 weeks ago after the decision was made for him to go back, that they were going to go back to Vernon Adams. And I watched that interview and I thought, he just looks fatigued. He just looks burned out.
Yeah.
And look, football's a hard sport, right? When things are going your way, it's a hard sport. And I think, he's dealing with a little bit of maybe an end of a dream. I mean, Nathan Rourke was a kid who was absolutely bound and determined to play in the National Football League. And I think, having to kind of accept that that's not going to happen now and probably won't happen ever, given where he's been and how much age factors into these kind of decisions. I think it's really hard to mentally, he's a human being. I just think it's been a really tough year. And I expect that next year we'll hear from Nathan Rourke about how tough a year this has been overall for him. So I think that's a big part of it. Look, I think in retrospect, it probably would have served his best interests, the best interest of the BC Lions, and the best interest of Vernon Adams if Nathan Rourke had just played it out in the NFL. By that, I mean, work out, sit by the phone, have your agent talk to every team every week, and try to get onto a roster. But he made the decision to come home and play, and it just shows, man. There's a reason there's training camp. There's a reason there's the first half of the season. I think we saw it a little bit with Chad Kelly, not to the same degree. And again, Chad Kelly wasn't in a different league with a different playbook, but he's only started to look like Chad Kelly the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been very high variance play up the first 5 or 6 games that he's been back. So I don't know if it's all shocking, but I'm guilty myself as comparing him to the guy that he was in 2022. And maybe next year that's fair, once he's had a full off season in training camp, but right now it probably isn't.
Yeah. Okay. Dave Naylor joins us on Sports 1440 Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Dave, what about Saskatchewan and Harris and how important he's been to their team when he's back healthy? And, you look, they only won 2 out of the 6 games when he didn't play. If it wasn't for a crazy gust of wind, that they might have had first place. I was still one of the weirdest Mother Nature moments I can recall in sports in a long, long time. But, are we sleeping on the Riders? Are the Riders better than we think heading into the playoffs?
Well, it's funny because I do Saskatchewan radio weekly. And at one point they were asking me during the season, do you really think we're going to win another game? And I said, yeah, of course you're going to win another game. I mean, they had dropped 6 or 7, and there's a tie in there. So they were winless in 6 or 7 at the time this question was asked to me. And I said, look, and this is where, Milt Spiegel and I, with all due respect, would disagree a little bit, right? Milt is always like, you either win, you lose. There's no good losses. There's no margins for error. It's like, and he's, as an athlete, that's how he saw the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one category, one statistic that matters, W's.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at it a different way because, I come from a different background. I look at it and say, well, if you're losing every week by 1 score, that means you're losing every week by 2, 3, 4, 5 plays, maybe 1 turnover. Yeah, eventually it's going to come around. And the same thing could be said about the Elks during the first 6 games of the season. But I'm going by memory. I think Saskatchewan might have had one of those games in their winless streak where they lost by more than 1 score. And if you look at what they were earlier in the season when they were 5-0, it's not like they were blowing people out. They were getting turnovers in the second halves of games and flipping the score that way. And turnovers is the two statistics that are most indicative of winning or losing in football are turnovers and explosive plays. Explosive plays of 30 yards or more. Those are the 2 stats that correlate to winning the most. And the Riders dominate turnovers. So, Trevor Harris doesn't have to be great. Like, I think the thing that Trevor Harris has really given them is just steady and consistent quarterback play all season. And, they've run the ball a lot better down the stretch than they had sort of in the midpoint of the season. No. And the defense is tough, and they're the masters of takeaways. So, I think it's very, very hard for a team to go from outside the playoffs to win a Grey Cup. It's a really, really hard thing to do. And there's usually reasons you weren't in the playoffs last year. And those things kind of surface when you get into the most meaningful games. It's just, it's just hard to roster construction and building a team doesn't happen overnight. But they are kind of a scary team because the one thing that can equalize all of that is winning a turnover battle, and especially winning a turnover battle in the second half. And that seemed to be the Riders' calling card.
Yeah. Dave, great stuff, man. As always, we appreciate it. It's going to be interesting. Quickly going back to the president and CEO. There's a few names. They've done a pretty good job of keeping it quiet. Few names I've heard that they are interviewing. What about GMs? Who are some of the guys that this president and CEO is going to look at as GMs outside of G. Roy Simon?
Well, it's this kind of thing always fluctuates a little bit, based on who's winning and losing. And it's the same thing with coaches. Like, you want to talk about coaches right now. Most of the guys who've been hot on the coaching market in the off season the last couple of years, one of them got fired this season, Mark Washington. And then you look at, guys with Calgary, like Mark Killam and Brent Monson, guys like that, whose names have popped up but Calgary missed the playoffs. So, it's kind of hard. You almost have to capitalize when your team is cycling at the right point. Not that those guys didn't become bad coaches, but a lot of hiring is being able to sell, right, to your fans and say, here's our coach or here's our GM. You look at someone like, Ryan Rigmaid, for instance, in BC, right, who was with Winnipeg before. His name is a guy who comes up. But I've said for a long time, general manager in the Canadian Football League is a really, really hard position to hire because there just aren't that many people floating around with the experience to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean, and again, would Ed Hervey go back, right?
No,
He's
that's the
doing
one.
that job in Hamilton. Yeah.
It's the obvious to me, Dave. Honestly, I don't think I think it's so painfully obvious because I think Edmonton as an organization needs someone who understands the Edmonton community, and he does that. And obviously he's had a pretty good track record, right? He's got a lot of experience. And I think that his house he still owns in Edmonton. He comes back here. So to me, it's an obvious one because there's a lot of fans who want to cheer for the Elks. They really do, but they're annoyed by a lot of things. And I think bringing back a guy who was the GM of their last Grey Cup and really the only 4 years since 2007 where they've had any success was when Ed Hervey was the GM.
Well, and he was a player, right? The only team he ever played for in a league where guys tend to play for multiple teams. The only team he ever played for was Edmonton. And I think one of the knocks on Ed when he was GM, and I don't know how much this matters, was, that he was just kind of an aloof personality, and, I know the media and from my perspective, I never really had a relationship with him when he was general manager in Edmonton. Since that time, I think Ed has recognized that part of the job is you've got to kind of lean into it with your personality a bit. I have right now a very good relationship with him. Did when he was in BC, have since he got to Hamilton. And I know other people in the media who've had the same. Again, that's not the most important thing for a GM, but it maybe isn't the reason you get the job, but it might be the reason you don't get the job.
Yep.
And I don't think that's really in the way anymore.
Yeah, no, it's totally fair. Dave, great stuff, man. I appreciate it. Have yourself an awesome day.
Hey, I always love talking ball. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
You betcha. That's Dave Naylor from the CFL on TSN 544. Got a lot of jokes coming in. I love it. So in honor of Kathleen. And we'll do those when we return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Volvo of Edmonton.
Cold weather is coming, and low prices are here at Canadian Tire's biggest tire sale of the year. Save up to 25% on quality tire brands like Motomaster, Bridgestone, and Michelin at Canadian Tire. Only from October 11th to 31st. Conditions apply. Details online.
Saving you more at the Brick. Save up to 25% off furniture, including sofas, sectionals, dining, and bedroom furniture. Save up to $500 off big screen TVs and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, when you buy more, you save more with deals on Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire appliances. And if you find a lower price before the end of the year, they'll refund the difference, including Black Friday and Boxing Day. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Are you an HVAC or refrigeration company stressed about meeting your customers' temporary refrigeration needs? No need to worry. The solution is easy. Think Easy Chill Rentals. For repair, maintenance, or even special events, Easy Chill Rentals guarantees you a no-hassle, short or long-term solution for your refrigeration needs. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill. With Easy Chill Rentals. Visit easychillrentals.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows.
Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, man, there is a heavyweight tilt tonight. Rempe and Dylan McElrath. Dylan McElrath is tough as nails, dude. Like, really tough. Rempe, obviously, big, tough guy, too. But, Dylan McElrath. That, if you're looking, go to Hockey Fights later tonight. That is a behemoth tilt. Behemoth tilt. So, we'll see. A lot of text flying in, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, any update on McDavid? No, just that he was getting a new test today. I expect something to come out tomorrow. The original diagnosis, what they hoped there was nothing too serious. But, again, that was met with things can change overnight. So they're going to be ultra cautious on this one. No doubt about it. So we'll see. We will see. We got this text coming in. Hey, guys, unfortunately, now it's going to show how much we overpaid Draisaitl. 14 mil times 80 better step up. I hope I'm wrong, but he can't do it consistently, but the media will make excuses for him. Without Connor, he cannot do it consistently. I've watched Oilers for 40 years. If he isn't coughing with the puck, he posts, but when he tries, he's awesome. But that is not enough to pay him that much. But I know without Connor, he's half the player. I hope Connor out for 10 games, and that should give us some clarity. Who's feeding him standing on top of the PP? I hope he's growing up, but he's what, 29? Anyway, another way to look at this is Connor isn't on the team. You're still giving Leon Draisaitl $14 million. I don't think you would. So, Dwayne. Oh, you're entitled to your opinion, Dwayne. To suggest that Draisaitl hasn't done things consistently, he's the second leading scorer for 7 years. What are you talking about? What's consistent for you then? Honestly, what is consistent if it's not the second leading scorer in the NHL? And so because he plays with Connor McDavid on the power play, was Leon Draisaitl a shooter when he got drafted? Did anybody talk about Leon Draisaitl being a shooter? Did Leon Draisaitl one-time the puck when he came to the NHL? No, he worked on it himself. Connor McDavid did. Connor McDavid actually saw Leon Draisaitl's improvement as a shooter and then spent summers trying to become a shooter. What are we talking about here? Honestly, to suggest that Connor McDavid has said many times, some nights Leon Draisaitl is the best player in the world, other nights I'm the best player in the world. So every now and then Draisaitl, he pouts, and so that's what people remember. He can make 10 great plays, but he pouted once, so now he's overrated. Like, I don't understand it. You choose to see what you want, and then you choose to value the things you don't like 10 times more than all the things a player does well. And I'm sorry, but it's the worst type of analysis. You can't do it. You can't say, I don't like when he pouts. But when he scores 128 points, yeah, but he pouted 5 times during the season. So, clearly he's not that good. It's ridiculous to have that type of analysis on a player. I'm sorry, but it is. Like, Leon Draisaitl not consistent? Like, everyone's like, Draisaitl hasn't had a good start. He's got 6 goals. The rest of the order forwards have 9. So even though he hasn't played great every night, he's still got 6 goals on a team that can't score in the ocean right now. So he's on pace again to score 45 plus goals. Maybe get to 50 for a 4th time in his career. And you're saying he's not consistent. He scored 50 goals 3 times. You know who other active players in the NHL who have done it? 1. Alex Ovechkin. But you're going to tell me he's not consistent. That's a big fail, my man. Big fail. Hey, Gregor, is Twix a bar or a cookie? Well, it's a chocolate bar. I don't see it in the cookie aisle. When you go to the grocery store or you go to the convenience store, it's with the chocolate bars. I don't see it with the Oreos. I don't see it with the Chips Ahoy. It's got to be a chocolate bar. Connor?
Yeah, I mean, let's not get into that. Let's not even entertain this one. We don't need another as a hot dog, a sandwich. It's in the chocolate aisle. It's not in the cookie aisle. Come on. I found that's actually the first time I've ever heard that. What would make it a cookie?
Well, I think because of Seinfeld, right? And they talked about the cookie crumble, right? When George is describing it. I'm guessing that's the only thing I can think of. But
not every Seinfeld reference lands with me, so maybe that's what it is, but come on. This one's a little ridiculous. Gregor, your nephew's scoring a goal, and Zach Ostapchuk gets his first NHL point.
The kid from St. Albert.
Absolutely.
Attaboy, 2 local guys. I love it. Beaumont and St. Albert teaming up. That's fantastic. I got to check the highlights on that one. Good Gino? Did you see it yet?
Not bad.
Oh, hey, there's no pictures on the score sheet. All I know is
exactly.
That puts him on pace for over 15 goals on the season. Take that all day long. So we'll see how it goes. But that's nice. Hey, good for Zach Ostapchuk with his first. Hey, man, your first NHL game, your first NHL goal, your first NHL point. Those are massive highlights. Heck, for some guys, your first NHL fight doesn't matter. Your first NHL anything. First NHL per diem. That's pretty good. First NHL meal. We'll see. Hey, guys, if things don't work out, what do you think Rick Campbell is the head coach here? Well, I'd have a lot of time for Rick Campbell as a head coach in Edmonton. I think he's a very good head coach. And he's very good. He's got a lot of connections. He could fill out a pretty good staff. Who do you think BC would let him go? Oh, you're suggesting if they lose? Oof. That would be interesting. But yeah, I'd have time for that. Hervey is a GM. Campbell is the head coach. Sign me up. I'd even take Chris Jones as a head coach if Ed Hervey's the GM. They've proven they can work together. When Chris Jones has somebody keeping him in structure and just says, hey, focus on coaching, he's quite good. On behalf of Connor Halley, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves a lovely Tuesday. Get your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca. Lotto Max, $32 million. And the Yankees, they haven't been swept in the World Series, Connor, since what, 1963?
Mm-hmm.
Against the Dodgers. Could it happen again? We'll find out. Let's get to a sports update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC or furnace. Bundle them up right now, legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. Following games are after 20 minutes. Bruins and Flyers currently scoreless. Kraken up on the Canadiens 4-1. The Ducks have a 1-0 lead over the Islanders. Wild and Penguins tied at 2 apiece. The Sens have a 2-0 lead over the Blues. And midway through the first, Caps lead the Rangers 2-1. Alexander Ovechkin with 2 goals in this one puts him up to 4 on the season. Later tonight, Kings take on the Sharks down in San Jose. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock. It is game 4 of the World Series tonight as the Yankees taking on the Dodgers. Right now, Dodgers lead that series 3-0. First pitch in about 13 minutes from the Bronx. And in the association, you got 2 games underway right now. Nets lead the Nuggets 22-16 in the first. Also in the first, Timberwolves up on the Mavs 27-23. Later tonight, Utah will host the Kings and the Pelicans in San Fran to take on the Warriors from the NFL. Minnesota Vikings bringing in left tackle Cam Robinson from the Jags for a conditional 2026 fifth-round pick. That could become a fourth-round pick. The Baltimore Ravens acquiring wide receiver Johnston from the Carolina Panthers. And the Houston Texans will be without the services of wideout Stephon Diggs after he tore his ACL in their win over the Colts on Sunday. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, you got Fox Sports Radio. Local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with the Kevin Carius Show. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
I take possession of my commercial space in